Hi, this is Richard Blade, and you're listening to the Blue Zone Podcast Network as it presents Permanent Record, an in-depth look at the classic albums of the 70s and 80s, albums which have earned a permanent place of honor, both in our hearts and in our record collections.
All right, well, welcome everybody. This is Brian, your host with the most. With me is, of course, my friend Sarah.
Hello there.
And we are kicking off November. We're sort of starting the holiday season, aren't we?
I guess you could say that, yeah.
We had Halloween here in the U.S., and it was a disaster. We had tornado speed winds and terrible rain, and not one person came to our house.
No, it was not a good night to be out.
But I can't blame them. So hey, we are getting close to the end of the year. We have a couple things left that we want to get to before we close up shop for the holidays. And one of those things is the topic of today's episode, and that is, of course, an album that just celebrated its 30th birthday, I think.
That's right.
Although the reissue for it actually came out months and months ago, early this year, April maybe?
March, I think it was.
And that is, of course, as you know from the name of the file you downloaded, it is Erasure Wild.
And you said that with such enthusiasm. I love it.
You have to. It's like if you talk about the Human League romantic, you have to say the question mark. If you talk about George Michael and wham! The punctuation is there for a reason, people.
Yes, of course.
And we have a special surprise for everybody.
Oh, yeah. This is a big surprise.
This is a big surprise. One of our very best friends and one of your very best friends is here to talk about Erasure with us. You've loved him as he joined us to talk about the Pet Shop Boys. You loved him when we talked about Erasure the Innocents last year. Of course, I'm talking about the great Andrew Dineley. Andrew, are you reading us all the way in the UK?
I am. Hello, hello, hello. It's good to be back.
It's great to have you here.
Yes, we're so happy to have you join us again.
It's wild.
Yes, it is.
I acknowledge you as an expert on all things Erasure, all things Pet Shop Boys, and I would hate to do an episode on either of these bands without you to join in.
Yeah, I mean, this is Erasure in their imperial phase as well, isn't it? So it's a great album to look back on when they really were ruling the charts and were at their absolute peak.
That's certainly true. This was a number one album, right?
Yes, it was. It debuted at number one in the UK.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Of course, everybody, I'm sure you remember Andrew. He's an artist himself. He has a graphic design studio called Soft Octopus that you can find on the WWW. He is also a contributor to our favorite magazine, Classic Pop. And I think you have a special article coming out this week, right?
I do, yeah. It comes out in 5 days' time, I think it is. And it's all about new romantics, written by a lot of old romantics. Yeah, and it's been an interesting one to write about because that doesn't feel as long ago as it actually is, because you're looking at music from 1980 and 1981. And I've had a lot of fun digging back through all of my research and interviewing people who were kind of movers and shakers at that time. So as usual, I ended up writing far too much and had to cut more than half of it out in the end, which is so sad. But that's, you're just left with the strong bits. So yeah, that's in UK stores this week. And for the rest of the world, it'll be available digitally.
And you posted a link on your Twitter, I think, this week where I ordered it online to have it shipped to me. I picked the Boy George cover.
Well, of course you did.
As a fan of Culture Club. And who else? There was Duran Duran.
There was Spandau Ballet. There were lots of... They were the big players, and Adam and the Ants was sort of new romantic, although reluctantly. But basically, it was just men in makeup, wasn't it? Were considered new romantic.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Gender benders. But there were also some smaller people like Classics Nouveau and even Soft Cell a little bit. And even OMD provided some of the soundtrack to the new romantic clubs of the very early 80s. It was basically people who were synth pop pioneers. They helped create the music that was played in the clubs that then created all of those fabulous peacock pop stars that went on to become famous, like Boy George and Marilyn and Steve Strange and all of that lot.
So many good names you just rattled off.
Oh, yeah.
Still love that music today.
Yeah. I mean, looking back, there is some great stuff, but there's some terrible stuff as well. There's some really embarrassing things in it. There was some stuff I just couldn't write about because it was too cringeworthy. But yeah, it was a very flamboyant period in pop, and I'm glad that they've dedicated a magazine specifically to it. I definitely think it's worthy.
Yeah, I'm anxious to get my copy. And I don't want to put you on the spot like this, but I'm going to anyway because I really do want to. I seem to recall that like a month ago or so online, you mentioned that by the end of the year, there would be another episode of your art/music podcast, Art on Your Sleeve. And I refresh my podcast feed every day pretty much because I'm into podcasts, and I haven't seen that new episode yet.
Yeah, Thank you for reminding me of that.
Sure.
But the timing's really, really good, actually, because I'm actually going to Glasgow on Tuesday to do another podcast. I'm going to do an interview in Glasgow with somebody who created a lot of record sleeves in the early to mid 80s for a lot of Scottish bands like Aztec Camera, Altered Images, and people like Spandau Ballet. So yeah, that's Tuesday. So it'll hopefully be online next weekend.
Cool.
Oh, wow. Well, don't make people choose.
Better late than never, though. I can't commend you highly enough for how often you get content out there, because I just know how hard it is to get it done and edited and then uploaded and then do all of the advertising for it and social media. But you two are fabulous.
Hey, thanks.
Well, I'll give Brian the credit for the editing. All I do is just a couple little things here and there. And then, of course, the editing is all that behind-the-scenes work that takes so much time.
So we are going to be talking about, man, this is a major album for me.
Yeah, me too, I'd say.
This is one that really has been important to me all throughout my life. Does it hold up at this day and age when I look back at it? Is it still as awesome as I thought it was maybe back then? I'm not sure if that's the case, but we'll talk about that, see what we all think about it.
Right.
And we're talking about the fourth Erasure LP.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to count Crackers International as an LP. That was an EP.
Right.
And this came out in October the 16th, 1989, just about a week and a half shy of 1 year after Crackers International.
Wow. Yeah. In the UK, it was released on October 16th, and it looks like it was released in the US on October 24th.
It was indeed. I think we mentioned earlier the album premiered at number 1 in the UK. And also did respectably in Germany and Sweden. In the U.S., of course, it peaked at number 57 its first week on the chart.
Yeah.
Which is kind of disappointing. And, while it never climbed higher than that, I did notice it hung on and stayed on the charts for like 23 weeks.
Oh, that's pretty good.
I didn't know that until yesterday, so that's pretty good, I guess.
Yeah.
The real disappointing thing here with this record is the chart performance of the singles in America.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
Yes, we will. Erasure was, like Andrew had said, they were in their imperial phase at this point. They were just churning out material. They were very busy. They were very popular, and so much so that they won the award for Best British Group at the 1989 Brit Awards. So that was kind of cool.
Was that something you saw on TV at the time, Andrew?
Oh, yeah. The Brit Awards back then were something that, there was a big countdown to the Brit Awards. And in our local record shops like HMV, there'd be a magazine with all the nominated artists. And, on the night you'd sit there with your little book and sit there thinking, I really want such and such a band to win. Yeah, it was a big deal, the Brit Awards. And also they did a lot of very interesting collaborations at that as well. So pair artists up just for that one evening to sing a cover version. In fact, Andy Bell, he did a duet with K.D. Lang, didn't he? At one of the Brit Awards. I can't remember what year it was. But they did that version of the Barbra Streisand and Donna Summer, Enough is Enough.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Yeah, it was a really good performance, and it was never actually released. Well, it was released as a promo, and it was on the soundtrack. It was on the soundtrack to the Coneheads movie. But yeah, it's quite an obscure collaboration, and that's what was always good about the Brit Awards, that because they had so many pop stars in the same place at the same time, they could pick quite random people and get them to perform together. So you'd always get quite interesting performances. Back then, I did love the Brits, not so much now.
I just watched the clip yesterday on YouTube. Do you remember how horribly wrong things went when they called Erasure out to receive their award?
No. Who was the host that year? It wasn't Samantha Fox, was it?
Actually, yeah.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Mick Fleetwood.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, that goes down in history as the worst ever Brit Awards because basically everything went wrong. It wasn't just the Erasure bit. Everyone was announced wrongly and the scripts all fell apart and the auto cue stopped working. And I don't think they could even read, those two people. It was just a complete and utter shambles.
Yeah, I watched that clip. Oh, it was bad. It was really funny, though, just because they were so wrong. And their dialogue was so stilted and they just seemed very mismatched together. It was really funny. So I found this wonderful article on NME.com, and they have this interview series called Does Rock and Roll Kill Brain Cells? And it's where they interview artists and they, ask them questions from the past to see how many things they can remember. This just happened in April where Gary Ryan interviewed Andy Bell, and one of the questions they asked Andy was, who presented you with the award and who did notoriously bad hosts Fleetwood and Sam Fox think was presenting you with the award? And he answered, oh, well, I know that Boy George presented the award because I gave him a kiss, but I've forgotten who was supposed to be presenting it. And they said, oh, well, it was Boy George was wrongly introduced as the Four Tops.
Boy George walks out and he says, they're too busy putting on their makeup.
Yeah.
So I came out, it's just the fact that the two hosts have no clue what's happening.
Yeah, it was completely wrong, and it was just ridiculous.
I never understood even why they picked those two people, because neither of them were famous as TV presenters, and they just looked so odd together. He was so tall and she was so small, and you could barely see her behind the lectern that she was standing behind. It was
know.
Yeah.
Everything. It was almost like the whole thing was done as a practical joke.
I know. But it was great when Boy George did announce that Erasure won and Andy went up, and then Boy George said, oh, and he wins the award for best jacket too, because he had this fabulous gold jacket on.
And no shirt underneath.
And no shirt, right? No shirt.
Yep, I love Boy George. He's great on talk shows and award shows and things like that.
Yeah.
He came out and made the best out of that terrible situation. He was hilarious.
Yeah. He did well. So not too long after that, I guess, is when Andy and Vince got together and started recording this album.
That's right. And one of the things I thought was cool, I don't know if you guys knew this. I didn't know it until I started researching it this week. I didn't realize that the band worked in two separate studios with two different producers, each on their own responsibilities. Vince worked in his home studio. I think it was called Swing Studios or something like that. And he worked with Mark Saunders. And then meanwhile, Andy was working also in London. I mean, they're real close to each other. He was working in the Church Studios with Gareth Jones on the vocals.
Right.
I never really thought that would be, the way they would work together.
Yeah, maybe they did it as an exercise in trying to get a different result. It's like, let's mix things up a little bit and try and record things separately. I don't know the reasons for it.
So we've talked about both of these producers before, Gareth Jones and Mark Saunders. Mm-hmm. Gareth Jones, he started out working with John Fox, and then he took up residency in Germany as the house mixer at Hansa Studios. And
That's
I think
right.
we talked about that in our Some Great Reward episode, maybe?
Yes.
And then Mark Saunders, we mentioned him as the remixer of all of the Disintegration radio singles. Robert Smith really liked his sound that he would get, so asked him to remix anything that was going to radio. He also worked on the Bomb the Bass remixes of Depeche Mode. Mm-hmm. And I learned in an interview this week, he engineered David Bowie's Absolute Beginner sessions.
Yes, I saw that online as well.
One of the best singles of the 80s.
I agree. I love that song. So Mark Saunders was definitely more of a engineer or a remixer. So this was the first album that he receives producing credit on. So that was kind of a big deal for him.
I always remember him for some reason as the mixer of the Mission album Mask.
Yes.
It was like an album that all the Mission fans hated, and it made them turn on the band, and like they've never recovered from that album. But I always liked it, and I thought that his production was pretty cool.
Didn't he also do the remix when Depeche did 101 and they re-released Everything Counts? Wasn't it a Mark Saunders remix of that was...
Yep,
yeah.
it was.
Now, do you guys know who Erasure was trying to get to produce this album?
Oh,
No.
is this the one? Did they want to get like? It's not Running Up That Hill.
Kate Bush.
Kate Bush.
They actually tried to get Kate Bush to produce Wild. Yeah, they went to her house. They had a conversation with her. They had lots of tea and homemade cake, as Andy reports. And he said that she was too busy because she was working on The Line, the Cross, and the Curve, which was the film that accompanied her album, The Red Shoes. So she just couldn't take it on. I don't know if that was good or bad. I think it was probably good because I certainly do like the work that Gareth Jones and Mark Saunders do. She would certainly have lent a different feel to this album.
Yeah, that would have... I can't imagine how that... I was going to sarcastically say when you asked, did I know? I was going to say, was it Mick Fleetwood and Samantha Fox?
Oh, wow.
Which is probably just as likely, actually, as getting Kate Bush to be your producer.
Yeah, I know.
So Gareth Jones, like I said, I think a second ago, he worked with Andy recording and producing the vocals. They worked in Church Studios in northern London, mostly at night, because Andy did not like to wake up until, into the afternoon. He's a rock star. Vince, he was still kind of thinking of this, as his job, his 9 to 5. So he got up in the morning at the regular time, and he would work regular work hours in his home studio with Mark Saunders. Gareth Jones says that even though we were working as two teams, the studios were both in North London, so we were able to have meetings quite often, and we were continually exchanging musical and vocal ideas. So, even if they weren't spending all their time together, it seems like everybody had input on everybody else's work, which is cool.
I think it works, even though it could be a disaster, couldn't it, that you're disconnected in that way. But I think whoever's idea it was, I think it was a successful experiment, because I think it doesn't feel sort of fractured in that way to me when I listen to it.
No, it doesn't. And I think we just think that it could be a disaster because, basically, don't a majority of bands work like this anymore these days? Aren't bands sending files across the internet to each other all around the world? So it's sort of become...
I think they are now, but back then, I wonder how that actually physically worked. were they literally kind of biking tapes across the city, to different places? How were they transferring files?
Yeah.
I don't quite understand where things were then.
That must be what they were doing, I guess, just shipping the tapes off. But I mean, I guess if they're close enough that they could get together at the drop of a hat to talk about things.
Yeah.
It may have been just them driving across town to drop off the tape. So I saw an interview with Mark Saunders. Mark Saunders says that he was hired to work with the other three as a production team because there were time constraints on the recording of this album.
Oh, really?
And I never saw anything go into detail on what those constraints were. I guess maybe Mute Records wanted to have it out by the holiday season or something, maybe?
Well, they knew that Violator wasn't coming out anytime soon.
I'd not heard that. I guess there was a tour, wasn't there? So that will have all been booked in advance as well, because you have to book those venues way ahead of time. So I guess you need the album to come out at a certain time so that it lands at a time when people have a chance to buy it and then buy singles and then go on a tour. I think it's the bigger picture, isn't it, really?
Yep, that's very true.
Yeah,
and that tour
point.
started in the middle of January, so it was very early in the new year. So.
Oh, I didn't realize it started that soon.
Yeah, it did.
Okay.
I bet you that's what it was, more than anything.
Yep. All right, we've figured it out.
We are the musical investigators.
Yes.
A couple other things that Mark said that I thought were of interest. He commented on Vince's basement studio. Because, you say to yourself, like, oh, he's working on a studio that he built himself in his basement.
Yeah.
He said Vince's basement studio contained nearly every great synth known to man, and it was beautifully laid out, with a mixing board against one wall facing the window, and the other three walls had floor-to-ceiling racks laden with all the synths.
I would expect nothing less from Vince.
I know. I've seen clips, like, on YouTube of him giving tours of his studios now.
Uh-huh.
I think in one house that he lived in, he had, like, a structure separate from his house that
Okay.
he would go out and work in, and that was incredible. So I can't imagine.
It was like a little spaceship, wasn't it?
Was it like an igloo? Was it that one? It was like round?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mark told the story of meeting Vince. He said he had first met Erasure when they were mixing Crackers International because he mixed the hardest part, and that was the first time that he met Vince when he came in to check the mix of that song. And Mark says, I was nervous and nobody had warned me about Vince's very dry, deadpan sense of humor. For one thing, when he listened to the mix, he barely moved. He barely even seemed to blink. He didn't tap his feet, smile, or turn around to me to give me an assuring look. Nothing. He sat like a robot with his head between the speakers. I wondered how I'd got the mix so horribly wrong. Eventually, the song finished. Vince stopped the tape and then paused for what felt like an eternity before turning and saying, I love it. And then with a dead, straight face, he said, just one thing. Did you not like the kick drum? My heart nearly stopped. Had I really missed out the entire kick drum track on an Erasure record? But before I had a chance to respond, he said, just kidding. There's no kick drum on this song.
Oh my gosh.
I thought that was great. You could picture Vince just sitting there for 3.5 minutes with no expression on his face.
Because he does that in concert.
Yep.
So yeah, that just baffles me. And we talk about these songs with all the energy and all the excitement and all this stuff going on. And he's just there like a robot. Oh my gosh. I don't understand how he does it. Someone, with that kind of a personality and demeanor creates such energetic and exciting music. It's so dissonant to me.
I know. It's crazy.
It's kind of a tradition now, though, isn't it, with keyboard players? When you look at Kraftwerk, it's 4 of them, isn't it? Just standing there checking their emails for 2 hours.
Right. Yeah. And Chris Lowe isn't exactly the most energetic and enthusiastic person either.
Or even going further back, right, to Sparks, with, I think it's Ron Mayle, isn't it? Who just used to stand there very static. Yeah, it's the thing to do, isn't it? You've got to stand there and just be super cool.
Yeah.
Yep. Sparks is a band, now that I have Spotify, I have to listen to because I see them mentioned in so many articles.
Yeah, they're pretty, I guess, influential.
Just to go back to the New Romantic thing, a lot of the music that they were producing back in the late 70s with Giorgio Moroder, those tracks provided a soundtrack to those New Romantic clubs and were very influential on a lot of artists, including Erasure.
Right, that's what I keep saying. So I got to learn this stuff.
Yeah, we need to check this out.
You need to brush up on your electro-pop history.
That's right.
We do.
I could recommend a good magazine for you if you like.
Oh, good. That would be very helpful.
Now, something that I thought was really cool and kind of shocking, I saw Mark Saunders mention that Daniel Miller told him at the beginning of the record that he wanted Mark to try to get Vince to try out some new sounds and experiment more. And Daniel said he's been using the same sounds for years. And Mark said he was a little nervous about doing that. He said, I tried, but I didn't push the idea with Vince because I loved all his tried and true analog synth sounds.
Yeah.
But if it came up an opportunity, he would at least give a little token effort to try to do it.
Okay.
And there is a time or two over the course of the record that I'll mention that he was successful.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I mean, there's one song particularly that stands out as very un-Erasure-y, isn't there? And we'll get around to the fact of whether that was successful or not later on.
Okay.
Only one? Is there only one?
There's that one that really stands out.
Uh-huh. I think I know which one you mean.
Now, in terms of mixing the album, it was decided both Gareth Jones and Mark Saunders would play a part. So this was kind of
Right.
neat. They just sort of worked in different studios, passing tapes back and forth. And they said it was kind of like a sound system contest between the two of them.
Oh.
Here's my mix. What do you think? And then the guy would say, what's good, but I changed this little bit. Why don't you check it out? And they would keep working on little bits until they finally declared it finished.
Wow. But just imagine how long that took in that environment, because it wasn't a matter of just emailing it or putting it on Dropbox or something. They had to physically give those tapes to each other.
I know.
Wow.
Again, like we said, they're all located in northern
Oh, sure.
London.
Oh,
So
yeah. But it's still,
It's not like a different country.
No, right. So we've already mentioned, obviously, the title of the album is Wild. Did anyone see anything about why they called it Wild?
I did not.
No.
Okay, well, I happened to find a Smash Hits interview by Chris Heath from September 20th, 1989, and Andy explains why they named it Wild. All these Japanese journalists were asking us why we've called the album Wild. We said that we wanted to tell people that even wimps could have a good time. It doesn't matter if, and then he puts on an American accent, you're a rack or not. We're not, he chuckles. Yeah, wimps of the world unite. And I laughed because when he put on an American accent to say you're rack or not, I've never heard that phrase. So saying it in an American accent, it's like, why would you do that? 'Cause I don't know what that is. Andrew, do you know what your rack means?
I do. What he's saying there is rack as in rack and roll. So it's just a phonetic spelling of rock, isn't it?
Oh,
okay.
rock, not rack. Okay.
Yeah, yes. Because we would say rock here and you'd say rack and roll.
Okay.
No, that was my bad American accent then.
Okay. Now I get it. All right. Well, anyway, I love the fact that he and Vince wimps, and that even wimps can have a good time, and wimps of the world unite. I love it.
That's great. Now, I have one more story to tell you about the early days of working on this record from this great interview that I found with Mark Saunders.
Okay.
I love this interview. And this is actually about his first day working on the album with Vince. Bright and early Monday morning in Vince's home studio. And he says, one thing completely stunned me on day one. We decided on what song to start with, and Vince then proceeded to expertly get a kick drum sound from one of his synths. An ARP 2500, I think. When he was happy with it, he said, okay, let's print that to tape. I said, are you sure you want to record it now? He frowned and said, why not? I said, well, wouldn't you prefer to hear the kick drum in context with a bass and maybe a couple of synths before you commit it to tape? Vince still looked completely baffled, like I was asking him to pilot a spacecraft to the moon or something outside of his comfort zone. He replied, but this is the way I've always done it, which is a fair response from someone who already produced a shed load of mega hits. Okay, I said, but surely you have more than enough excellent gear here to have all the parts running live from your sequencer and refine all the sounds in context with each other before we commit to tape, right? Long pause and more deep frowning, followed by, I've never thought of doing it like that. This blew me away. This was Vince Clarke, the guy I watched on Tomorrow's World many years before I got into the music biz, explaining how the Fairlight could sample sounds and play them musically on a keyboard, and then sequence them to create a song, all inside a massive computer. Groundbreaking stuff. And yet here was the same guy who hadn't thought of running multiple parts on his sequencer before. Anyway, luckily rather than kick me out of studio, Vince gave my suggestion a go, and after a couple hours, he said, I like this way of doing it. And so that's how we worked from there on out.
Oh, my God. Oh, that is so funny.
So I like that story because it's a funny story, but I also like it because that show that he's talking about, Tomorrow's World, didn't you send me a song where somebody actually made the dialogue of that television show into a song?
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the artist now, but yeah, he sampled all of Vince's voice, didn't he, and chopped it up and made it into a song about Vince Clarke.
Yeah, I have that. I put that on my stereo in my car. I listen to it a lot. But on my stereo, I don't see the name of the artist because all the songs you sent me, I attribute them to Andrew Dineley.
Well, I did write them all, all my composition.
Yes, definitely. Oh, that is a great story. And I love that even at his young age, he was already like this curmudgeon set in his ways. You know,
Yeah,
he's
I
like,
know.
I don't do it like that. Good on Mark Saunders to get Vince to explore new ways of doing things with his old equipment.
If people did want to look up that song, it's by Mr. Midi and it's on Spotify.
Yes, thank you. That's right, Mr. Midi. I can't believe I forgot that name. The name Mr. Midi stands for high quality techno pop. I should have remembered it.
For sure.
And the track is called It's All Done by the Machines.
Cool. Check it out. I love that song.
So album art, we have to talk about that. And of course, I started doing my normal research into the album art, and I came upon this really great article by this guy who writes for Classic Pop magazine, and his name is Andrew Dineley. So I thought, oh, wait, we know this guy, and I think I'm going to let him speak about the album art because I think he knows a little more about it.
I do love this album sleeve. I think it's really it's very pretty, isn't it? I love the typography on it. I love the photography on it. And I'm just looking at my original vinyl edition here. It's so much nicer in 12-inch square than it is as a little CD. The portraits of them on it by Pierre Agile are really lovely. They look so angelic, don't they, amongst all of that sort of wild foliage blowing around them.
Best picture of Erasure that I've ever seen.
All of their photography is just beautiful. They can take the most ugly person and make them look absolutely stunning. They're just real artists at what they do. But funnily enough, through a completely different route, because I do a lot of design work for health education and stuff, I was working on an exhibition at a museum, and another designer who does a lot of health education stuff in London, we ended up connecting up, and she actually worked on the design of this record sleeve.
No way.
Yeah, it was really spooky. And she came to Liverpool to see the exhibition, and we went for lunch, and we were just talking about pop and graphic design, and she said, oh, I worked on some Erasure record sleeves. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. tried to not be too much of a fanboy, but yeah, she did the not particularly on this album. She did more work on the chorus sleeve, but for this album, she did some of the layout for it. But the photography, obviously, is Pierre Agile, and the graphic design is by a company called Me Company, who she worked for at that time. But she also worked for Peter Saville Associates as well. So she's she's worked on a lot of record sleeves that you'd be familiar with. And I did ask her if she had any background information on it, and if I could just read out the email here, she just says that it was Paul White, who was the creative director of Me Company, who came up with the idea of using Pierre Agile. So he did most of the album, but she worked on quite a lot on the sleeve of the first single, Drama.
Very good.
Cool.
It is a nice album sleeve.
Yeah, I think it's quite attractive. And it's interesting, though, because of those guys, the photographers do seem to focus more on people, in their portraiture, but they reserved that picture for the inside of the sleeve. But I guess that was, Andy and Vince's decision. They don't want to be on the cover.
Yeah, I mean, they rarely do appear, do they? Or as in the case with Chorus, it's in a very abstracted way. So I can imagine that the original proposal would have been for those lovely images to have been used on the outer sleeve. But yeah, as you say, would have been quite an un-erasure-y thing to do.
I know.
Now, Vince, I saw a comment with him. They interviewed him about the process of getting the pictures taken for that. And he sort of was a little bit down on the final results of the photo session because he said that he didn't think that he looked very good. But he said Andy looked fantastic.
I think they both look fantastic, but maybe it's to do with the actual creative process of actually putting that image together, because the way that the photographers work is that every single little thing is positioned. I mean, I know it's designed to look like a wild storm and they're kind of, walking through it. But every single leaf was glued into place and every little droplet was positioned by hand. And, that will have taken a whole day to set up that photograph. So maybe that's why Vince doesn't have happy memories of
maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's thinking about all the background work that went into the final product rather than thinking of the final product on its own and how it ended up looking, which I think is gorgeous. So, reviews. So this Smash Hits review of the album is by Ian Cranna, not Dave Rimmer, but let's see what Ian Cranna has to say from the October 4th, 89 issue. He says, as the piping hot drama shoots up the charts, the good news is there's at least 3 more obvious hits here in Erasure's most inventive and sophisticated LP so far. There are new musical flavorings to savor. A touch of simple country ballad, in parentheses, on Blue Savannah, a monstrously catchy sing-along with Stars, and a completely mad Mexican knees-up in La Gloria. But there are also rather more quiet, reflective songs this time around, and, as Andy Bell hinted last issue, it's all got a bit of serious underlying theme to it. The topic here includes digs at religion, politics, and mistreating each other, as well as the usual joys of pain and love, but nothing that gets in the way of their brilliant tunes and some completely irresistible dance rhythms. Andy Bell sings his heart out throughout, and though this LP is a tad on the short side, it's definitely a case of bravo, Modest Erasure, the uncrowned geniuses of pop. 8 out of 10.
Wow, 8 out of 10.
Yeah, that's probably more than I'd give it, perhaps. But yeah, I think it's a good review, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a very favorable review.
I'm not sure I agree that it's their most sophisticated album. I think it's, in terms of sonic sophistication, this is a step down from The Innocents, I would say.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I hope that isn't a spoiler saying that I wouldn't give it that. Yeah, because I think that sonically it definitely isn't as rich, is it, or layered as The Innocents.
Definitely.
Yeah, I will agree with his statement that it's the most inventive one so far. They were definitely being very creative here. I will say that in a very diplomatic fashion.
Fair enough. All right, my first review is from a fellow that I found online called the Post-Punk Monk.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, "It was surprisingly eclectic in the best possible way. The only song that was as campy as my mental image of the band was La Gloria, and that was so much fun it would be churlish to complain. Better, the ballads here were best-of-breed works that were touching and filled with beauty and sensuality. It was an album packed with hit singles, 2 UK Top 10 and 2 UK Top 20 singles, and the deep cuts were excellent foils for the singles. There was no dead space here, just a band that seemed to me that they were peaking after several years of more tentative work."
Oh.
I included that review simply because I'm outraged by that last sentence. I think you would all agree with me that the LPs before this one, maybe Wonderland is tentative.
Yeah.
That's the only album I would use that adjective to describe.
Yeah, I wouldn't agree with his assessment there. Although I have to say I do love the Post-Punk Monk website. I think what he does is fantastic. And he's a graphic designer as well, so it all looks very nice as well. It's a great site. Definitely recommend that to your listeners.
Oh, that's cool. I had not ever come across it until this week.
Yeah, I have some bookmarks of his pages.
Yeah, and he goes really deep into stuff. He's a really good writer.
Well, good. Then I'm glad that Brian used that review.
Even though I don't agree with it.
Well, that's okay. I like the contrast and different opinions from the different reviewers. So I have a couple more. One is rather short because this person, they reviewed the entire album track by track. But I do have a couple sentences from the beginning that I want to share. And it's on a site called Moopy. And it was a discussion forum. And this guy, Man in a Hamster Wheel, also known as Mr. Blue, and he has reviewed all of the Erasure albums. I think I probably brought him up when we talked about The Innocents. I don't remember for sure, but I know I had these pages bookmarked. So he says about Wild, in stark contrast to the leisurely tempo at which they release stuff these days, the Erasure train seemed unstoppable in the late 80s, with a fourth full album in as many years. The quality control does suffer a bit by this point, with a few filler lows, but the highs are as high as ever.
I can't dispute that.
Yeah,
I'd agree with that. I think it's an album that's got some fantastic singles on it, and we'll talk about the other songs later.
We will indeed.
This is from a site on which I could not find one single sentence that I agreed with.
Wow.
And I'm gonna come back to this review, this website again as we get to one of the songs. But
oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, it's called poprockbands.com.
Okay,
and
I don't know that one.
Here's what they had to say about Wild. Widely considered the duo's masterpiece, 1989's Wild is the album on which Vince Clarke and Andy Bell move away from the sometimes camp, high-energy dance pop of earlier releases like Wonderland and Crackers International into a quieter, more complex, and organic sound.
What?
I was like, I don't agree with a single thing you just said.
Nobody thinks this is their masterpiece.
They're moving away from camp with this album.
Oh, wow. Did he miss the La Gloria?
Into a quieter and more complex sound.
What the heck?
Yeah. I take it he didn't go to the to see any of the Wild tour dates.
They must not have.
Where is this person coming from? Oh, my gosh. Wow. Okay, I have a longer one now. I think we'll agree with a lot of it. And it's from a site called Short for Frequencies, FREQ.
Okay.
And this person, Kev Nichols, did a review of the 30th anniversary edition. So this was, just recent. And he says, Wild is probably their best album, as in it might not have Ship of Fools or A Little Respect on it, but it also does have drama on it. All-time favorite Erasure line, your shame is never ending. I was like, how am I going to read that? But that's how I read it. He says, which is the best use of melismata as sarcasm as I can think of. And I had to look up melismata, and it's also known as melisma. It is also known as a vocal run when you're singing multiple notes with a single syllable. So that's what that was. He also goes on to say, Vince, for my money, is one of the greatest synth fetish people. So many sounds that could be chintzy, but persist as a kind of opulent bath for Andy Bell's singing. So the thing that I probably didn't notice before with Wild is how it expands Belle's range. There's the upper voice belters, Blue Savannah, and the heavily breathed lower voice, How Many Times. Possibly maybe Belle's greatest gift is decorous vocals. There's just an inch of histrionics that eke in through the edges. Quite seriously, I think someone who's actually a musicologist should take a proper gander at Clarke's music. There's all of these contrapuntal bits he chucks in, and at least one verse, Crown of Thorns, that's probably a madrigal. So he really likes this album and had a lot of really interesting things to say about it.
Drama is so good. And like he alludes to at the beginning of that review, this is their best album because drama.
Yeah.
Drama does cover up a lot of sins. It's so awesome.
Uh-huh.
But can it carry this entire album on its shoulders and make me say that it's the best Erasure album? That remains to be seen. And my last review here is a very brief one. And this is from Mr. Andy Bell. And it's just a few sentences taken from the liner notes of the 30th anniversary reissue, where Andy says, or the book says, Andy Bell still places Wild among the most personal of all of Erasure's records and remembers that the experimentation in style and sound was an important factor in making the album one of the easiest Erasure creations from his point of view. So he thought this one was a breeze.
Wow. And that's interesting, given the production situation that they were in, that he didn't have any kind of difficulty kind of operating in I won't say a vacuum, but in a separate space from Vince.
Well, he was with Gareth Jones, and Gareth Jones has had so much experience.
True.
And was so familiar with the mute artists.
Right.
And their style of work.
Good point.
And now we are going to just touch on our personal histories with the record.
Yeah, I like that you talked about Andy's personal history with the record, and now we're going to talk about our own.
That's right. That's why I saved it for last.
Really well done.
So I remember it coming out. I think I did buy it on the day of release. I generally would have bought everything that Erasure released on the day it came out because I was proper hardcore fan. So I remember buying it. And again, like The Innocents, this has got a lovely insert, a lovely free poster in it, which I don't know if... Did you get a free poster with yours over there in the States?
Nope.
Of course not.
It's the image of the two of them that we've just talked about, and it folds out and it's got all of the lyrics to every song on it.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
And then obviously it's got the lovely images on the sleeve as well. So that was a nice little surprise. Yeah, I remember buying it, and I think I bought it the same day. I'm sure it came out the same day as the Jimmy Somerville album, Read My Lips.
Oh, I bet it did.
I'm sure I bought the two of them at the same time, and I remember taking them home and putting my earphones in and just kind of absorbing them both. And yeah, just sort of really, really enjoying the album and hearing all of those new songs that would eventually go on to be classics like Blue Savannah and others. Yeah, I have fond memories of it, buying it from HMV in Liverpool, I think.
Oh, very nice.
Very cool. And I like getting a reminder of Jimmy Somerville's awesome first solo album.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a favorite here.
Yeah, that's still a great one.
I think at the time I probably preferred that album, actually. And just to link back to the design of them, both of those sleeves were designed by the same people, both designed by Me Company.
Oh, wow.
Cool. I like that Jimmy Somerville cover.
Yeah, with the funny lips on it.
And the microphone.
Yeah,
it's a great record.
Yeah.
So to me, my personal history here, to me, this album is very, very much one of the key parts of the soundtrack of my young adulthood. The Innocents can instantly take me back to the last year of my high school career. Mm-hmm. Wild takes me back to my first semester at college and being away from home and pretty much being able to do whatever I wanted to do whenever I wanted to do. And it's part of Personal Jesus is of that same time period to me. Thompson Twins' Big Trash. And
how about Red Flag?
I was pretty into Red Flag at the time too, yeah. And this album, in particular, Drama, is the song that sticks out. But, at the time, I tried to fully embrace the album like I had with everything that came before it. And we're going to talk about this as we go, but it was a bit uncomfortable for me at the time because I had to acknowledge for the first time ever that a few cracks were starting to show in the monolith that was Erasure. In my brain at this point in time, Erasure had not recorded a single bad song. And with this record, I gradually came to believe that they had basically released an album where the singles were going to shine brightly, and then the rest of the space is filled up with songs of various quality, and we'll be talking about that. But regardless of how I feel about the quality of work here, I still get a tremendous amount of pleasant nostalgia from listening to Wild. And where Wonderland is, to this day, a very springtime album for me, Wild is very much an autumn record, which I'm looking at the leaves on the album cover blow all around, so it's kind of fitting. It makes me think of, brown leaves, cold evenings, and very good times. So I really do have a lot of affection for this record.
Yeah, that's good. And I do as well. And of course, I'm trying to remember when I got this. I got it from you, but the question is when. So this came out in America October 24th, 1989. And I came home from college for the first time ever that weekend. And you and I, we met up that weekend. We were just friends still, but we met at the homecoming football game, and we hung out and we saw the prison riots, and it was all very exciting. There were prison riots going on nearby, and we could see them from the parking lot of the mall where we went. It was all so very romantic.
It was.
I don't suppose you were able to get me the copy of Wild just then. So I'm thinking maybe I got it over Thanksgiving break from you.
I like how there's absolutely no chance that you bought the album yourself.
Oh, heck no. No.
It's always a story of you mooching it from somebody.
Yeah.
And usually me.
Yeah, right. Yeah. If you didn't know that yet by listening to our podcast, I was a musical mooch, even to this day. 90% of the CDs we have are not mine. But I agree that, this is like very, very related to the first semester of college for me as well. And you and I together. It's got all these memories. I think I didn't really skip anything, even though I was kind of like maybe not sure about every song on there. But I went ahead and played it through and listened to everything and thought it was all just wonderful.
All right. You thought it was all just wonderful.
I think I did.
All right.
And I don't think I'm going to say that anymore.
All right.
But that's because I'm older and wiser, maybe.
All right. Well, let's take a look at the tracks on side one and figure out which songs really are wonderful.
Okay.
And which ones maybe aren't quite. So the first one is just sort of a short introduction, and it's a instrumental tidbit of a song we're going to talk about later, and it's called Piano Song. So the album begins with a very lovely bit of piano and synth strings that you just heard, and it's a minute-long sampling, more or less, of a song we're going to hear later in full on the album. While the track does sound lovely, I have a few issues with it.
Okay.
My first problem is I'm of the opinion that it would have been more effective to start the album with the full piano song and then reprise it at the conclusion with this track for two reasons. Starting with the short instrumental sounds nice, but we have no reference to anything that we hear in it, so it's not connecting with me at all the first time I'm just hearing this nice music. And the album ends on a very forceful and slightly unpleasant tone, at least to me, as the last thing we hear is Andy spitting out, "Don't touch me." To me, it seemed like a mistake to end the album in this confrontational manner. You know, it's a confrontation that's not going to play out. If you put that song first, you may not have any songs that really are going to tie into the tone of that statement or relate to it. But if you have 30 minutes of music that's going to follow up, "Don't touch me," you could say like, oh, hey, they start with this confrontation and then the confrontation plays out over the record. But I just think it's very abrupt to end the record with that. It's always sort of made me uncomfortable.
I would agree that I don't want to use the word weak, because I do actually like it as a piece of music. It reminds me in some ways of some of those Depeche Mode extra track that Martin would do where it's just a piano and a few little extra bits of synthy sounds. It reminds me a bit of those. So I like it as a piece of music, but as an album opener, it's flat.
Yeah.
It doesn't excite. I suppose it's like a false start for me, really, this.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, it's basically they're doing a reprise before we've heard the original.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make much sense. And it doesn't really give you a sense of what's to come. Not that an album opener have to do that, but this just seems misplaced. I wouldn't say it's a filler, but, well, maybe I would. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think this is a filler, the first track of the album?
I don't quite understand why it's there, because I think as a piece of music, Piano Song isn't one of Erasure's strongest songs by any means, and there are other songs that are very similar to that, things like The Soldier's Return. It reminds me of quite a few other Erasure songs, and so I understand why it's at the end of the album, because it feels like it's, particularly with the sort of dynamics of the album, there's a lot more kind of punchier, brighter moments on there. And so I don't get why you would start the album with it. And it's not like you needed a filler. You know, an album generally has 5 songs on a side. So why did we have 6 with this strange little prologue at the beginning? So I don't understand it.
I don't either. I mean, by putting it there, they're attempting to set a certain mood.
Right.
As the start of their album. And it's only going to go on for a minute, 10 seconds or so. They establish this mood, which is very mellow, very introspective. And then they immediately do like a 180 and you get the very artificial, almost Kraftwerkian sounds of the first 4 measures of Blue Savannah. It like destroys any mood that they've established.
Yeah. It's far from wild, isn't it, really?
Yeah, right. And I'm going to go back to another album we've discussed earlier this year that had its 30th anniversary, Disintegration. And we think about Plain Song, the first song on that album, and it has this super long intro, which, you know, almost equates to this track here. You know, there's like a minute 30 before we get any vocals from Robert Smith on that song. Mm-hmm. But in a way, you could call that the intro track, you know, if you would break that apart and call it a separate thing. And that very well sets the tone for the album. You know what you're getting. You know, they advertise it properly. Here, it is not the same. You don't get a good advertisement or a preview of what's to come on this album by this first track. So I think it's misplaced. It's a misguided decision.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think it's just an oddity, isn't it? And I mean, they've done similar things. Like on the Circus, they had Spiraling on there, didn't they? Which is another odd sort of slow song that stood out on the album. But wasn't that near the end of the album?
That was the end. And that's what I would say that the full version of Piano Song very much equates to Spiraling in that fashion. This kind of a depressing song. It's tacked on at the end. And you're kind of like, oh, wow, this is not the same as what we've been hearing. So they kind of revisit that idea, I think, here.
And song sequencing back then as well was very important because you did literally, you know, you put your record on and put the needle on there and play songs in that order. It's not like when CDs came along and you could program them in your own order. And particularly now with streaming, the format and layout of an album now isn't that important because you just generally pick the songs that you like.
Right.
But back then, artists generally would really agonize about the order in which they would, you know, construct an album or put it together. So I'm sure someone had a very good idea for this, but it escapes me.
Same with me. But you know what? They're going to make us all happy.
Yeah.
in just a few seconds as we get to track 2. And this is a great one. It's a single, so everyone's going to know it. And it's a song called Blue Savannah.
Now we're getting into a proper Erasure song. This is good.
All right.
And this was the 3rd single released from the album, and it was released in the UK on February 26, 1990. Now, according to the Erasure Information Service, in the US, it was released on April 20th, 1990. And I'm not sure I believe that simply because I also saw that it peaked on the U.S. Dance Club Play Singles chart on April 21st, 1990. So I don't know if the release date is correct. But I can tell you that in the UK, it peaked at number 3, which is wonderful. And it also got to number 3 in Ireland.
That's right. And this was, of course, only the 2nd single from the album here in the U.S., Sarah.
That's right.
As our American label, Sire, decided to pass on releasing You Surround Me.
That is true.
Oh, dear.
I
know. We keep getting short shrifted here. You know, we don't get fancy album cover with the insert poster. You know, we're just kind of second-class citizens, I guess. I don't know.
But you know what? We don't deserve good things here, like You Surround Me, because this song, Blue Savannah, which is also really good, it didn't even break our top 100 here in the singles charts. All it could manage was a number 12 on the dance single sales chart and a number 44 on the dance club songs chart.
It's very true.
And we're going to find that as we talk about every single on this album. Even though a year before they had big hits with A Little Respect and Chains of Love, not a single one of these tracks released to American radio is going to break the top 100.
Yeah.
Sad.
It is depressing.
And, you know, it's funny because we're going to ignore chorus as well. But then all of a sudden with I Say, Always is going to be a big hit again, just out of nowhere.
I agree. Yeah, it's very peculiar.
Yeah. So who knows? We have no clue what we're doing when it comes to Erasure here.
Yeah.
This was an era of great B-sides for the band, and I think we'll talk about that next episode, but I just wanted to say that this single has two of my very favorites. The B-side on the 7-inch was a song called Run Around on the Underground. I like that song a lot. Do you guys like that song?
I do. And I actually like the 12-inch remix of that, even though it's essentially a dub mix, but I love that, and it really does have a 1990 feel to it.
I'll check it out. And the 12-inch also featured a remake of a song. I didn't know it was a remake till this week, a song called No GDM, and it was a remake from a group called Gina X Performance.
Okay.
And the track, I just found out, was written by Zeus B. Held.
Oh.
Who I have been a big fan of for a long, long time. He produced two of my very favorite albums of all time, Dead or Alive, Sophisticated Boom Boom. And Men Without Hats, Pop Goes the World.
No way.
They said that we were getting smarter. They said that we were something new. We were none of these things, and they said we could sing, so we sang about 20 and 2. We done all the wrong things, and we done good.
Great producer. So I was listening to the original version of this on YouTube, and I gotta see if I can find a few more songs by them.
Yeah, again, this links back to the whole New Romantic thing, because that song No GDM was another of those songs that was played in the Blitz Club and various, because it's the nature of what the song's about. Do you know what GDM stands for and what the story is behind it?
Well, does it stand for Great Dark Man?
Yes, which was from something Quentin Crisp had said, who was a very a stately homo, I think, as he described himself. And he was one of the sort of first out and proud gay men at a time when it was illegal, sort of around the Second World War, and just after that. He was very flamboyant and was a big hero to a lot of people. Andy Bell was a big fan of him, of Quentin Crisp, and so this song was a queer anthem, really. So it was interesting that it did pop up on a B-side, and I agree. I think it's a great remix of it, but I don't think that Andy Bell himself is particularly pleased with this cover version, is he? I'm sure I read recently that he said it wasn't a very successful recording for them.
Oh, really? I wonder what his issue is with it.
When you love a song so much and you try and do a version of it, you can never compete with the original, so maybe he just feels it's inferior and doesn't live up to what the original did.
See, I don't understand that, because as people know who listened to our last episode, the final episode on Wham, I have always done Careless Whisper at karaoke, and I always do a tremendous version of it.
For sure.
And I bring great honor to George Michael and to the song. And, people just go head over heels for my version. So I really don't know what it's like to do a bad version of a song that I love.
Yes.
Maybe then we should have a whole episode of you doing karaoke as a little Christmas bonus episode.
Oh, I would love that.
My.
Yes.
I can't imagine the download numbers on that show.
they would be unbelievable, probably.
Man, that is a good idea.
I think as well as the extra tracks on this as well, this was a period in pop where there were so many multiple formats, and there was so many different 12-inch versions and extra remixes and stuff. And when I was going back through all of my archive for this episode, I've got 3 12-inch singles of this.
Oh, wow.
All very, very different and all very beautiful in their own way. So there's the standard one, and then there's the limited edition one with a beautiful embossed, it's just like a silvery blue cover with the logo pressed into it. And then I've got one that I was actually given in the record shop. It's a white sleeve with a single-sided vinyl in it with Deutsche Mix 2 and Deutsche Mix 1, one of which is a very, very Kraftwerky version. Ooh. And they just gave it to me in the record shop. When I was buying the other 12-inch, they just said, "Oh, do you want this as well?" And gave it to me.
Sure, why not?
Cool. Oh, go on then. If you insist, I'll take that off you.
Right. Yeah, I know the blue one that you described with the embossed cover, because I saw that one online when I was listening to the B-sides again, and a couple of the remixes of the B-sides. The image that the person used posting them was that image of that embossed blue, silvery blue cover. It's very, very pretty. Very simple, but very nice.
Yeah, I think the design standard of this whole campaign is just so high. Everything is gorgeous. Me Company did fantastic work on all of the graphics for it.
All right, so let's just briefly touch on some reviews for this one. I have a really good one from a website called talkaboutpopmusic.com, and they said, album number 4 proper begins here and in fine style. Blue Savannah song is joyous Erasure at its very best. Although the song never really takes off until the middle 8, Andy's vocals across the first verses and chorus are both haunting and sensual in equal measure.
Very nice. And I have one that's very brief that says something similar to what yours just said. Ong's Erasure page, you know that one? Which is
Yes.
it's actually now archived. It's kind of defunct, but you can still get to everything. And he says, Blue Savannah gets the album properly underway. A wonderfully diverse song, produced and performed to perfection. Let down by an atrocious video, this single still did well in the UK charts, and rightfully so.
Yep, this is a great single. I have one other review from allmusic.com, and I was hoping that Andrew would be able to explain this quote because it's not anything I've encountered ever in my Erasure studies. So maybe
I'll
you
do
have
my best.
A gently propulsive track from Wild, Blue Savannah makes for a pleasant, if not a completely stunning single for Erasure. The band itself once amusingly claimed it was, quote, Erasure meets the Eagles, end quote. Did you ever hear that?
I've never heard of Erasure and the Eagles being mentioned together at all. I don't know, unless it's some random playlist on Spotify. No, I can't. Unless it's on one of the versions, there's that slide guitar, isn't there, that got taken out because Vince hated it.
Right.
Maybe it's just the sort of, I don't know, North American thing, maybe, and the fact they talk about, I don't know, I'm clutching at straws.
Racing across the desert, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
But then I'd think
to
of
the orange
America.
side.
Yeah, that's peculiar. I found this wonderful article from Metro Weekly, and they have listed what they believe are Erasure's 40 greatest tracks, and it was put together by Chris Gerard, and it's from 2014, so it doesn't have anything too recent on it. So this song, Blue Savannah, they put at number 2.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know. Perhaps Erasure's best-sounding track. Put it on now, and it's so fresh that it sounds like it could have been recorded yesterday. Blue Savannah is audio daydream, a sublimely beautiful melody sung with real feeling by Andy Bell over some of Vince Clarke's loveliest keyboard work. That amazingly vibrant piano part just pops out of the speakers. This is what great pop music is all about. It makes you feel warm just listening to it.
That piano part is incredible.
I love
it's
it.
gorgeous, isn't it?
What did they have as the number 1 Erasure song? Do you remember?
I think it was A Little Respect.
Okay. Speaking of that awesome piano part,
Yeah.
I'm just going to burst my way through here,
Sure.
even though we're doing reviews, because I have another awesome story from Mark Saunders from that interview that I read where he talks about recording this song.
Okay.
Get a load of this. He says, an example of the Vince Clarke genius was the rising and descending piano riffs in Blue Savannah. Vince, during the programming and recording, said, this needs a piano riff. Then he just seemed to sit there and stare into space. After a while, I said, why don't you try and play something? He said, shh, I'm thinking. After what seemed like an eternity, he started furiously typing numbers into his ancient BBC UMI computer. Minutes later, he sat back and said, right, let's have a listen then. And my jaw dropped when the brilliant piano riffs popped out of the speakers. He had worked it out in his head and then had typed it in numerically. Each note, the position of the note length, and the velocity. Bloody brilliant. So he never even played that part. He just thought it and then typed in parameters into his music software.
I am aghast. my jaw is agape at this. That is incredible. Wow.
Vince Clarke is amazing.
He is.
And whoever it was in that review earlier that said like someday like a serious music scholar should sit down and study his work.
Yeah.
That's totally true.
I agree.
I would love someone who is like a hoity-toity music authority to be forced to sit down and acknowledge the value of this great fake music that Vince Clarke makes.
Yeah.
There you go, Sarah. Your mission is set.
Oh, wow. I didn't think he meant me. I'm not hoity-toity by any means.
We're going to talk about the mixes of it because there were a lot of them, weren't there?
I never had this 12-inch. I'm not sure if I knew it actually got a U.S. release. So I have it as part of the box, those gray boxes.
So have you got the very Kraftwerky version? Have you got that one, the Deutsche Mix 1?
I'm not sure.
You going to go get it?
I have it sitting right here. Hold on.
He's going to go grab it
Is
quickly.
that on that? Yes, it is. Yeah, EBX3, it's in there.
Okay.
It's got sort of monkey noises and a very, very Kraft. It's like, what's it like? It's like, not Trans-Europe Express.
Audubon?
No, where they're cycling. What's that one? The
Tour de France.
Tour de France.
Oh, yeah, I have
It's got that percussion.
I have both Mix 1 and Mix 2.
Well, the Mix 1, I loved that. That was the one that I got given to me for free. And I remember taking it home and thinking, this is going to be rubbish. And I just put it on. I was like, this is fantastic. Kraftwerk meets Erasure. So definitely check that. If you've forgotten it, check it out because I think you'll like it.
I have forgotten it. I'll use it as the song at the end of the episode. That'll be good.
It'd be a nice outro.
Okay, so I do have one more review I would like to share. It's by that man in a hamster wheel, Mr. Blue. He reviewed all the Erasure albums, and he says, their first single of the 90s and probably the album's best known track. I don't know about that. But he says its top 3 position shows it managed to reach out to a broader audience than just the fan base. It could very well be a lost Elvis or Roy Orbison song from the early 60s. I don't know about that either. He goes on to say a few more things, and he says the single version has a cold ending, but on the album it segues into the next track through a bolt of thunder, a gimmick also used on the then recent Introspective album by the Major Rivals. I had to mention that part.
I forgot about the thunder.
And he gives this song a 9 out of 10.
It deserves it.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
like when he says it could be an Elvis song or a Roy Orbison song, it's really, really hard to picture that just because of how
Electronic it
is. It
Yeah.
very well may be true. I don't know about Elvis. Maybe Roy Orbison, I can see that a little better.
Yeah.
But the melody is a very nice melody that I could picture, his voice singing it.
Well, did they do a version of it on the acoustic album that
On
they
Union
did?
Street.
That kind of country influenced album. Was there? Yeah, was there one on that? No. What a missed opportunity that is.
I know.
No, there was another album, wasn't there? Of a Nashville album.
Oh, yeah,
On the
live
road
one.
to Nashville.
Yep. You're right.
And they did do it on that. So
Okay.
Yep, they did, yep.
All right, good.
Somewhere across the desert, sometime in the early hours, in a restless world, on the open highway. My home is where the heart is, sweet to surrender to you only.
That's
Yeah, it's
good.
got banjos in it.
Oh my gosh,
Just
banjos.
listening to it.
Now I want to play that one at the end of the episode.
Yeah, seriously.
I don't know what I'm going to do.
And that's awesome that somebody else got this country vibe out of it because of the Smash Hits review where they thought that there was a little bit of country in this song. That's really interesting that other people are seeing or hearing that as well.
I mean, the 12-inch version with the slide guitar is pure country music to my ears. Well, not pure because it's got synthesizers in it, but as close as Erasure are ever going to get.
I agree.
I love that Vince said he would never have a slide guitar in any of his songs. And then Mark Saunders was like, somehow I got that remix out past him.
Yeah.
But then later on, he did go on to do that album there
Yeah.
on the road to Nashville. So,
Crazy.
People change their minds.
pigs do fly.
Yep. So, I think it's obvious from what we've been saying. I love this song, and I've always loved this song. But I do want to say that the sound of it has never fit with the rest of the record for me. There's just something to the sound of those first couple measures. When it starts, it sounds to me like it was recorded on like totally different equipment in a totally different studio than everything else that's on the album. I don't know what it is. I mean, I still love it. Now that I actually know a little bit about Kraftwerk, I hear it, and up until when the breathy vocals and the start of the Erasure Gallop kind of music kicks in, it sounds extremely like Kraftwerk to me. And maybe that's what it is. I don't know. To this day, regardless of the fact that I do love this song, I can't shake the feeling that this sounds totally different to me than everything else on the album. It's weird.
It's certainly very different to Drama, isn't it? Which was the track that we were familiar with, trailed the album's release. Because I love Drama, and I know we'll come on to that next. But listening to the album after only hearing that, being confronted with Piano Song and then Blues Savannah, I remember thinking at the time, wow, this is not what I was expecting at all. But being pleasantly surprised. There's still some gems in there, even though it did take me by surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have this feeling that this song almost kind of fades in the way that the music starts. It doesn't sound like it. It's like you're kind of joining it partway through or something. I don't know. The way it comes in, it is a little different.
Yeah, there's something about that beginning. I mean, it doesn't fade in literally.
No.
But I know it's like you're joining a show already in progress or something.
I don't know what it is, but I kind of think I know what you mean.
And that piano part that we talked about, that Vince programmed, that may be the best thing on this entire album, I think. I mean, I love Drama. Like, Drama is the main single and main song from this record for me, but that piano run is just so fantastic sounding.
I know. It is gorgeous. Yeah. In the beginning of this song, we have these very ethereal kind of vocals from Andy, lots of oohs and ahs. And I love how the keyboards and the vocals kind of blend together into one sound. It's just like you can't tell the difference between the two of them at one point. And I think that's really, really cool.
I think Andy does a fantastic job on this song. You know, his lead vocal is a little bit restrained, I think.
Yeah.
It sounds a little like he's reining things in, and I think it works great on this particular track. His background vocals that kick in near the end of the song, they sound really good too. But the part that I really, really love, I don't know if it's a middle eight, but sort of in the middle of the track, that section that comes in, on my way back, can you love?
Yeah.
That part.
Yep.
That part is so much fun.
Yes.
I love that section.
I do too. And I love how he's doing his own backing vocals on that, and he's accompanying himself, and it sounds just wonderful.
I would say this song definitely is in my top 10 Erasure singles of all time. There's so many Erasure singles. I was looking at the list. I was like, oh, man, they have a ton of singles. I didn't realize how many. But I went through them, and I was like, this is definitely top 10. And I'm going to bestow that title, top 10 Erasure single, on 3 of the songs we're going to talk about on this album. The singles on this album are fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. I'd agree. And I think that it would definitely be in my top 10 Erasure songs. Because I think generally Erasure aren't that good at releasing the best tracks off their albums. You know, if I had my top 20 Erasure songs, probably only about 4 or 5 of them would be singles, and most of those singles are the ones on this album. Yeah,
that's a good point. Are Erasure a band? Do they pick their singles, or did they let the label take care of that? Do you know?
I think back at this time, I think they were probably getting a lot of direction from the record company. I think Daniel Miller probably would have helped inform those decisions. I don't think that's the case now. I imagine they have a lot more control now.
They did still put a lot of stock in what Daniel thought. I think it's in the liner notes for the album. They said, like, well, if you had 2 producers working with you and they disagreed on something, how would you settle the argument? And they said, well, that never happened, but if it did happen, we would have gone to Daniel Miller and he would have settled it, which I thought was cool, because I had this great image as a kid of Daniel Miller as the ultimate guru, synth music guru, who knew everything. Like, he could not make a bad decision. So,
and I think Vince held him in that pretty much that similar regard as well.
Yeah, I think he had a good, or probably still does, he has creative influence, doesn't he, over albums. Even if he isn't the producer, he's always around and always involved to a greater or lesser degree with everything that comes from Mute Records. I think the artists that are on the label are all artists that he's been attracted to. You know, he's curated this very broad collection of different styles, but they're all things that appeal to him.
Yeah, if you watch like those Depeche Mode re-releases that came with DVDs, like when you watch the DVD for Sounds of the Universe, which is a very, modern day Depeche Mode album that he's certainly not the producer of, there's a big segment of that DVD. They knew that the song Wrong was going to be the focal song of the album, be the first single, and they brought him in, and he sat with them for days just trying to get the instrumental section in the middle of the song, trying to get that just right. They still relied on him to come in and work with them, and he's not listed as a producer. So yeah, he still plays a big part.
Okay, so from that same interview I discussed before, the Does Rock and Roll Kill Brain Cells, Andy Bell mentions that he has at times borrowed certain Blondie lines from Blondie songs in his own songs. So one example is here. To the Orange Side comes from Union City Blue.
Oh, really?
And I did not know that, but I like that it's another song with the word blue in the title.
I love Union City Blue, but I can't think of the lyrics.
He's a pretty big Blondie fan, as we know.
Is.
So it doesn't surprise me at all that he would borrow Blondie lines.
Very cool. I love Blondie.
And that's definitely something he does on a couple of other tracks on this album as well, isn't it? Takes other people's lyrics and drops them in.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to bring that up.
Yes, and Star, maybe?
No, I'm going to bring that up on my unreleased version of How Many Times.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
But
I've got that one.
I wasn't 100% sure I was right about that, though. But
no, you are right.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Right. You Surround Me as well. It happens on that.
I don't know about that one, so that'll be cool. All right, so this Blue Savannah, this is an infectious, upbeat love song. I think this is a truly beautiful pop song, and it makes me very happy that they continue to play this one live after all these years. I'm sure it makes most of their fans happy, but we got to see it a few years ago on the World Be Gone tour.
Yeah.
And that was a great experience. They still sounded awesome.
Yes.
I'm glad this song stuck around. Now let's talk about the video.
Okay.
Sarah, you seem to be telegraphing your opinion on the video with one word.
Yeah, I will have to agree with Ong. This is an atrocious video.
Atrocious.
Yeah, I do not care for this video at all.
I don't think I ever saw it until this week. Is this one that you knew well? Like, did this get a lot of, I guess if it was a number 3 song in the UK, it probably was played a lot.
Yeah, I was really familiar with this video.
I didn't know it either beforehand, and I am not sad about that in the least.
So I saw it was directed by Kevin Godley, who was part of that duo Godley and Cream. They were originally musicians from 10cc, but then they also became directors. And they've worked with a lot of bands that are awesome. Duran Duran, Culture Club, Police, Thompson Twins. But unlike his excellent work with those bands, again, Erasure kind of fails, at least in my opinion, to make a connection with their director, and the reward of a truly great video kind of eludes them. And I saw an interview with Vince where he said this was an odd video to make because, quote, Kevin Godley didn't really say anything to us the whole time we were together. He just kind of mumbled through the direction. He didn't relate to us or talk to us or joke with us or anything. Interestingly enough, I ended up buying his house in Chertsey.
Oh my gosh.
And that's the one that had the studio spaceship in the garden.
Oh, okay.
Oh, how about that?
Yeah.
Cool. I mean, how do you expect to make a great video with that kind of relationship with your director if he's telling the truth? That's so weird.
Yeah, how are you going to get anything out of these people if you don't communicate with them? My goodness.
So, Andrew, as someone who was familiar with this video, what do you think about this video? Because, we're both kind of implying here that we don't like it.
I don't dislike it, but I think it cheapens the quality of the song. I think, a video should add something to the song. And it's just such a literal interpretation of it, isn't it? Painting everything blue because the word blue is in the title. I suppose it's like taking the Little Respect video, which was another very literal video,
right.
Literally kind of, and just being very cliched with it. The quality of the song is worthy of a much more powerful video, I think. And I'm surprised because, Kevin Godley is an amazing video producer. If you look at his body of work,
right.
There's some incredible stuff in there and some really groundbreaking. He can make a little go a very long way. And again, linking back to the new romantic thing, I promise I won't do this with every song we're talking about, but he did that video for Fade to Grey by Visage. Godley and Cream did that, which at the time everyone was like, wow, what an amazing video. And all it was a kind of a mask and a veil of net, and someone with loads of makeup on. And I suppose what I'm saying is he's an incredibly creative person, but for this video, it just feels like it's not really creative. It's just corny.
Yeah. And I think for A Little Respect, it was all very tongue in cheek. And you understood that, they're playing. And this one, I don't think that they meant to be tongue in cheek. I don't know. I think that I don't want to say they were taking themselves seriously, but it doesn't come across as much as a silly thing as I think it should, because it ends up being very silly. But it seems to be more arty.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's quite camp, isn't it, with the little golden cherubs and everything, and the dancing around with the golden bits of leaves and things. It doesn't work. I mean, I don't hate it. I think they've done worse videos than this, but the song's deserving of better. Yeah,
I agree with both of those statements. It's not the worst that they've done, and the song definitely deserves a better video.
Yeah.
I was pretty excited at the start of the video when the blue hand was kind of flying through the sky.
That wasn't too bad.
And it was approaching the warehouse, and I said to myself, I was like, oh, they're going to do a Hitchcock. That the camera's going to fly right through that window like he does at the beginning of Psycho.
Uh-huh.
That awesome shot as the camera moves across the city and right into the hotel room where Janet Leigh is having an affair. And then it just goes right through the big open garage door or whatever that giant door is.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, come on. And then it was just, from that point on, I wasn't too impressed.
And then the hand is just there the whole time. And it's like moving around and it's like in their faces. And I don't care for that. That's very creepy and unsettling to me to have that hand like right next to their faces, like just like right there. Like, I'm not touching you. I'm not,
right.
That
the thing
kind
that
of thing.
weirded me out the most was that like it didn't seem like Andy 100% understood where he was supposed to stare, like where his eyes should be focused.
Yeah.
He sometimes was looking above the hand or sometimes was looking at it. And it just made it like uncomfortable for me.
And then when it's placing the gold cherubs on him and the leaves and things like that, it looks very awkward and very strange. I mean, I don't know. It doesn't work. But I did wonder if the gold cherubs at all were a reference to Heavenly Action. That crossed my mind if this is like a little callback to that video because of the cherubs.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I ended up enjoying it a little bit more at the end when they were painted blue. At that point, I kind of liked it a little bit more. But, overall, it's oddly filmed, and it's basically just a performance video that's not a great performance, and there's no storyline that holds your interest. And
yeah.
It's everything we've said about it. It's just a shame that in their whole career, Erasure doesn't seem to have found their own Tim Pope or their own Anton.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Right.
Depeche Mode. Yeah. That's a shame because if they had just gotten someone who shared their vision and developed a style, I think that really would have helped them.
Yeah, but that's true of everything that Erasure do, isn't it? From the videos to the record sleeves to the producers they work with, they do mix it up a lot. And I suppose some people would say that that's a good thing to do so you don't get stale. But then again, I don't know.
But then you never really find a home either.
Yeah, I think there's strength in knowing that the people that you work with, and certainly when I've been interviewing people for the articles in Classic Pop, I think the people who get the best results are the designers that understand the artists that they work with. Mm-hmm. They can almost read their minds, or they're so familiar with the body of work of the artists that they can interpret that visually. That would go for video as well as graphic design.
Yeah,
definitely.
That gives me a wonderful segue to two little tidbits, or one little tidbit anyway, that I want to share right now. The gold leaves on the blue made me think of New Order, True Faith, single cover by Peter Saville. Another Trevor Key photograph, who we just talked about in the Wham episodes, but talk about a guy who knows his group and knows what they want visually. Peter Saville certainly did that for New Order, but I thought it was very funny that it's like these gold leaves on a blue background. It's like, wow, what are they channeling here?
I think the difference with Erasure and the designers they work with, and Peter Saville and the artists he works with, is that Peter was always largely given autonomy. New Order weren't that interested in the visual aspects of it. So it was like, well, that's Peter's job. We just let him get on with that. And I know with Erasure, Andy Bell is very involved with the creative process and often steers that. And I'm not sure whether his vision is that good. And that's a bit cruel, but I think sometimes if you work with good designers, they don't need a lot of direction. They can get on with it and come up with great results like Peter Saville does and like Mark Farrow does for the Pet Shop Boys and like lots of good graphic designers do. And I think sometimes client, in this case, who would be Andy Bell, coming in and saying, oh, I want this and I want that, it sometimes can come across as a bit forced and artificial. And I know that was the case with the I Say album, where Andy Bell had a vision of creating a very Disneyland-esque design concept, but it just got very confused. So you had things like paintings, and then you had you had the logo in computer graphics, and then you had cartoon characters, and then you had map paintings, and it all became a bit messy, I think. I think sometimes you should just let the designer get on with it, really. Speaking as a designer, we know best.
Let me do my job.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's sort of the equivalent of going into a restaurant and going in the kitchen and telling the chef how to cook your meal. Sometimes you just need to let the expert get on with it and come up with the goods for you, because that's what designers, that's what any creative person will do.
Right.
They'll have their own vision.
And that's why you bring them in.
That's to go back to what you were saying. That's why it works with Anton Corbijn and his videos for Depeche Mode, because he understands the band. He's almost like a fifth member. So he doesn't need them to tell him how to make the video. He can do that because he understands them.
Exactly.
Yeah. And speaking of Depeche Mode, this video made me think of another old video with painted people in it. It was Leave in Silence by Depeche Mode. And we talked about this about 2 years ago when we talked about A Broken Frame. And these blue people going around in this room made me think of that terrible video.
Yes.
I went and watched it again, believe it or not.
I did as well after you mentioned it.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that was a bad video.
So which video of painted people is worse, Leave in Silence or Blue Savannah?
Look, I think we should just be thankful that Kevin Godley didn't put Vince and Andy on space hoppers.
Well, right. Yeah, or have him smash things on a conveyor belt, right.
I decided I like the Depeche Mode video better because I like that conveyor belt of weird objects that they're hitting with sticks.
Okay.
Like every time it cuts back to that scene, I actually kind of enjoy it because Dave looks so silly and he has that bow tie on.
Yeah.
And Alan has a hammer
that
if you watch Alan, he has a real hammer, but he's being very careful not to really smash things with it. So his hammer strikes seem really awkward.
Okay.
But then whenever they do get colored blue and red and green and yellow, then it turns terrible.
Yeah.
Sort of proto-Teletubbies.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
There's some charm in the, I guess, the naivete in that video because it's so old. And so, that was the new experimental days of MTV. People doing crazy things. They didn't know what they were doing. And so in some ways, I think that makes Blue Savannah worse because it's, 1989, 1990, and it's Kevin Godley, who's done a lot of great work. And it's like, you should know better by now. I would rather actually watch Leave in Silence than Blue Savannah because, that hand, oh my gosh, it just bothers me.
A little bit off subject, but I always felt that Depeche Mode video would have been more interesting if we'd been able to see the people at each end of the conveyor belt, one of them frantically putting things on it and the other one catching them at the other end, and then running around the back and putting them back on the conveyor belt again.
Yeah, that would have been great.
Funny
Oh, I'd love that. that part. Yeah, the behind the scenes. Yeah.
All right. So that brings us up to, wow, a song we keep mentioning. Uh-huh. And we're trying not to really say how much we love it.
Yeah.
But we all love it.
It's sort of hard not to.
And this was the first single taken from the album. And it's a song called Drama.
What a brilliant taste of what was to come this song was. I mean, I know, again, it's not that typical of a lot of the other tracks on the album, but I remember buying this and just being so excited. It was like, oh God, Erasure are back and they're still fantastic.
Exactly.
It's such a great single, and the extra tracks that were on it were great as well. And as a design nerd, the cover was lovely, and it just all felt like it just worked. And even the video was good fun for this. Again, it's probably not one of their best videos, but I did enjoy it. We'll come on to that. But yeah, I remember buying this on the day it came out again. 2 12 inches for this, weren't there? Well, they were in the UK.
In the US, we only had one, and I have it sitting here right in front of me.
Yes, he does. Well, Andrew, you must have gotten that one of those 12 inches, or maybe both of them, on September 18th, 1989.
Yeah, generally you'd get one 12-inch and then the other one would follow about a week or two later. Just as sales were starting to level off, they'd release the next one to propel it back up the charts again.
Uh-huh.
What you said is absolutely right about this song working as just a teaser for the album. It may not be representative of the album completely, but this song, more so than any Erasure song ever in their history, got me psyched for this album because this song was amazing. And when you heard it, the first time I ever heard it was on our college radio station, I imagine. Oh my God, I was so excited. I was like, this is probably the best song ever.
It's just such a powerful song, isn't it? With all the shouting in it as well. It's got everything but the kitchen sink in it, really.
It definitely does.
Yeah.
So many great synth sounds.
Oh, I know.
Vince is like, he's emptying out his bag of tricks for this one.
I know. There's so much good stuff in this song.
And guess what?
What?
It didn't make the American Top 100.
Oh, what is wrong with us? I don't know why, but I have trouble believing everything I read on the Erasure Information Service when it comes to the U.S. releases. But it says it was released in the U.S. on October 11, 1989.
And that's only like 2 weeks before the album, right?
Yeah. And it was released as almost like a double A-side because it was released as Drama / Sweet Sweet Baby, because that's how you see it represented on the Billboard chart. The ones it actually did get to.
Right. The Dance Club Songs chart, it hit number 10.
Yes. And it was also on the Hot Dance Music Maxi Single Sales chart, where it got to number 13. And one other chart. Did you know that it made the U.S. Alternative Songs chart?
I did not.
Well, it did, and it got to number 11 there. So that's just kind of indicative. You said you probably heard this for the first time on college radio. Well, sure. College radio was playing Erasure back then, and that's where it showed up on the chart.
Andrew, you and your friends took it to number 4 in the UK, I saw.
Yeah, it was a big hit in the UK. And I seem to remember it being around for a long time as well. A lot of songs were on the charts for a long time back then, weren't they? Songs tend to stick around. I remember dancing to it in nightclubs as well. This was when I was sort of still enjoying going out to clubs before I was an old man. And it was one that I'd always kind of leap onto the dance floor to jump around wildly to.
How could you resist?
I know. If I heard this in a club, I'd definitely go up and dance to it as well.
Create my own dance drama.
Very good.
So I have a few short reviews about it. I have one from that website, again, Talk About Pop Music. They like the first single that we talked about. For Drama, they say Drama was the lead single from this album and thus the showcase track with which to reel everyone in. With a clang of a bell, we are summoned back into the Church of Erasure and treated to a quintessential piece of late 80s electro-pop perfection that builds and builds to its exciting climax. So I was very excited about that review. I loved their love of the song.
Oh, yeah.
And I love the idea of the Church of Erasure.
Yeah.
I would go to church if there was a Church of Erasure.
Oh, for sure. So would you like to hear the Smash Hits review?
Always.
Okay. Well, I don't have a Smash Hits review of Always just here, but I do have one of Drama, and it is from the September 20th issue, 1989, and it's by Richard Lowe. And he says, try and guess what the new Erasure single is going to be like. Is it A, a thundering thrash metal protest song about the Vietnam War? B, a dainty ballad with a sparse piano and flute backing? Or C, a synth-stuffed high-energy romp with quite a good tune and lyrics about how horrible love can be. Top marks to those who guessed C. You really know your onions. Drama is wonderfully predictable. The only difference between this and countless other Erasure singles is the bit in the middle when Andy Bell sort of whines through his nose. And that sounds horrible. I don't know what he's talking about there.
Whines through his nose. I don't know why I love smash hits so much, because they're always disrespectful to these artists that I love.
I know. I think you love to hate them.
It was done in a very loving way.
Yeah, I guess
Done
so.
in a loving way.
I just have one sentence from a website called Louder Than War that had a pretty good article about this album, but they said Drama from their fourth album, Wild, they do like their exclamation marks because they're stressing that Drama and Wild both have exclamation points, is possibly one of the most criminally underrated songs to ever hit the charts.
Wow.
Which is definitely true if you're looking at our American charts.
Oh, I know.
And I'll try to let that go.
Yeah.
I've been living with that hatred, that anger since
Yeah. Release your
1989.
anger. All right, so I have a couple. One is pretty short. It's from dailyvault.com, and it's an album review from December 2006 by Michael R. Smith. He says, Drama is the fastest song Erasure has ever recorded, beginning with a thunderclap and building to an exciting climax, all made even greater by the video that was made for it. Only Andy Bell can handle a mouthful lyric like one psychological drama after another and make it mean something.
Is it really their fastest song? I was wondering if it was faster than Knocking on Your Door.
I think the Knocking on Your Door might be faster.
It just sounds so frenetic, though, doesn't it? Because of everything that's going on there. You've got all those multi-layered vocals and the banging bells and
Yeah, that's true.
you know, crazy percussion. It's just, that's what I meant by sort of everything but the kitchen sink thing.
Right, right.
It feels quite intense. It feels quite a loaded song.
You know, there was a Depeche Mode blog that we've talked about before when we discussed Depeche Mode called Almost Predictable, Almost.
Yep.
And they had an article called 30 Reasons to Love Erasure
Oh.
on there. So the number 2 reason was drama. They said, I'll come on to Erasure's remarkable ability with a pop single shortly, but I felt I had to highlight what I think is their greatest single, 1989's sublime Drama. With The Innocents, Erasure effectively mastered pop music, creating one of electronic pop's most remarkable albums. So their next move was always going to be interesting. Drama added layers and layers to Erasure's sound, creating a powerful, over-the-top, extravagant masterpiece that still thrills to this day. An outstanding track.
I like that.
I liked it everywhere I looked online. I mean, it's pretty much universal that this is a highlight of Erasure's career. This song.
I agree. I mentioned Metro Weekly did an article on Erasure's 40 greatest tracks, and this one landed at number 16 for them. And they said, opening with bell tones and pulsing synthesizers, Drama starts rather calm and then builds in energy and excitement as it goes. It's a killer dance track with some great keyboard riffs. Bell's vocal is outstanding, and melodically and lyrically, it's unforgettable. A worthy first single for the band's brilliant 1989 album Wild, Drama reached number 4 in the UK. In the US, the duo was marketed almost exclusively for the dance floors, and despite the crossover success of prior singles Chains of Love and A Little Respect, none of the singles from Wild made a dent on the US pop chart, although they were fixtures on the dance chart.
Very true, as we've been talking about. Hey, Andrew, since you guys love this song, and you just said you had great memories with it when it was first released, I mean, was this like a huge song? Did people, like even not Erasure fans, get into this? And is this one you heard everywhere, like every day?
At the time, yeah, because Erasure were huge back then, so it will have been, yeah. I think as well they were still pulling in a new fan base as well, because it was, you know, they were having top 5 hits or top, what should we say? This got to number 4, was it?
Number four, yeah.
Yeah, so it did really well. So they were still appealing to a new audience as well as, you know, pleasing their fan base. But it's a funny song, isn't it? Because I think looking back, if you said to people to pick 5 Erasure singles, I doubt this would be one of them. I think it's a sort of forgotten song in some ways, which is odd because it is such a strong single.
Yeah, you know, now that you say that, this is not a song that they ever play on First Wave, our Sirius Radio
That's true.
alternative 80s channel.
And
I've never heard it.
And I don't know if you guys saw this anywhere, but in one other review I have, and I won't read the whole thing, but it says famously one of the duo's least favorite songs for a long time. Did you see that?
I did not.
I didn't either.
Did they do it live very much? I don't think they do it live, do they?
I thought they did do it on the World Be Gone tour. I think we've only seen them on World Be Gone and
Violet Flame,
and one of those tours we saw it, I think.
Yeah.
Right. I imagine it's a hard song to recreate live because it's got a lot going on.
Oh my
in
God,
it.
yeah. There's so much happening.
And it's all good.
In my opinion, this is pretty close to a perfect song. And Vince is providing like a masterclass in high energy synth work here in this song.
Yeah.
There's so many great sounds and so many great little short riffs. And
Yes.
drum fill-ins and different percussion. He'll change up the percussion like as it transfers to another section of the song. It's so interesting to hear what he's doing here with this one.
Yeah.
Someone wrote to us in like the early days of our podcast. I can't remember. I tried to find the email and I couldn't. I must have it somewhere, but he said that at one point in time there was some sort of Erasure Q&A on a website or something that he was able to ask Vince a question. And his question that he asked Vince was, is there any chance that you will ever release to the public like your backing tracks, like the Erasure album's instrumental versions, so we can hear everything that you're doing? And Vince told him that he didn't really think that there was, there would be much demand for something like that. So it wasn't anything that he had ever thought of and probably wouldn't do it.
He's so wrong.
How awesome would it be to hear an instrumental version of this song in particular? There's so many different sounds and drums, like we said. It's such an incredible experience, and it would be cool to just absorb it and get, maybe, if you're able to, a little insight into what Vince hears and what he's thinking when he's working on his half of these songs. I think it would be great.
Because I bet there's so much buried in there as well,
I know.
Because there's so much going on, and there'd be lots of subtle stuff hanging around in the very low frequencies. And it is a shame. Because I remember New Order, they released the single Jetstream. That CD had, I remember, a piece of software on it that had all the original stems of the song, so you could basically build your own version of the song.
Oh, cool.
It actually had its own little piece of software that it ran, and so you had all of the tracks, and you could, drop bits in and move things around. And Nine Inch Nails did it as well. They did an online thing where they gave you all of the stems, and you could recreate the song in your own style. And it's fascinating when you get it, because even with the most simple songs where you think maybe there's only sort of, I don't know, no more than 10 tracks, there's often about 20 or 30 tracks, and there's all these little subtle clicks and washes and all sorts of things going on. It's fascinating I'm a music person as well, so it's interesting to me from a geeky perspective to be able to get in there and reprogram stuff. But once you've heard all of that stuff, once you know it's there and you've heard it, you notice it every time you hear the song then.
Right. And I think Erasure had a similar software kind of thing on their singles from the album Nightbird.
Yes.
I know that I had to
Here
I Go Impossible again.
Yep.
And I created like a mix of that using the software. It was kind of cool.
You uploaded them, didn't you? And then I can't remember how that. I think I did.
There was like a contest. They judged them on the website there and picked like their favorite fan mix or whatever.
We should swap our mixes, Brian. I've still got mine.
I have mine too. I'll send it to you.
Oh, good.
You send me yours.
Oh, what fun. Yeah, this song is just so fantastic. It starts off very quiet and unassuming, and we get that tolling bell, the tiny little keyboards, and Andy's almost hushed vocals, and everything just builds up so wonderfully. And the vocals get louder and more complex, the tension builds, and then we get, at about a little over a minute in, we get that absolutely fantastic drum fill, and another tolling bell, and the song just kicks into high gear, and it really never slows down the pace the rest of the time. It is just such a wonderful song. And it's funny though, but there's so many different layers of vocals in here. Sometimes it's hard to decide what to sing along with. I don't know.
Yeah, really.
It's like, what part am I going to sing in here? I don't know.
And you know what? I can't believe I never knew this. I never knew the identity of the people singing, shouting in the background.
I didn't either, but apparently everybody did.
Else in the world knows.
Yeah.
It's on every website you go to.
Yeah.
They're revealing the secret identity of the people and I had no clue that was the case.
I didn't either.
Was that a commonly known fact in the UK,
Well,
Andrew?
now you can come to say, I was thinking, I know who this is because I remember knowing who they were, but I can't remember who they were. But I did at the time, and now, but because I haven't thought about it for such a long time, I can't remember who it was. Is it Daniel Miller?
No.
Maybe we shouldn't even reveal it, Sarah, just to drive him nuts.
Yeah. Should we even tell you?
No, those gangs.
I know who it was. Who it was.
Who was it?
It was Samantha Fox.
Oh, definitely. Yes. How did you know? Yes, the most perfect people that you would have chosen for this. Oh, man.
No, it turns out,
quite.
unbeknownst to Sarah and I, it was the Jesus and Mary chain who were recording an album in the same studio.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, they were next door, and Andy said they needed a football crowd, and they made up the crowd really well. We haven't really talked a lot about the lyrics of this song, but I did want to mention I saw in the Smash Hits interview that Chris Heath did with them in September of 1989. Andy says, drama is about how, whoever you are, there's always going to be somebody else who will make you feel bad about it. And like, that's a real simple idea, but I think that, that is what comes across here.
Oh, never thought about it. I'll have to reread the lyrics with that in mind.
I won't say that as a whole it's a consistent and cohesive message. You know, but there are some things that I could say, yes, definitely go with that idea.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So, Andrew, you mentioned that this was a pretty good video.
Yeah, again, it had a lot of energy, didn't it? I remember they had those the T-shirts on with the sort of ecology T-shirts. I think I had one at the time of them just basically jumping around and having a lot of fun. That's what I seem to recall. I should have looked at it. But I remember at the time thinking it felt like an appropriate video for the song, unlike the previous song we've just discussed.
Right. I think this is a pretty good video.
Yeah, I actually like this one.
It took me a second to get over Vince's strange haircut.
I love his hair in this video. Oh my gosh, I love his hair. It's adorable.
Really?
Yes, it's kind of long, and it's like he looks very young and boyish and super cute.
He looks like a little kid.
Yeah, I know. I love it.
Kind of weirded me out when I saw it.
Yeah, I know.
He's sitting on the hood of a car just playing some sort of high-tech guitar.
Yeah, it's sort of like a guitar almost thing. I don't know. It's weird. But those shirts, they say Lifeline on them, but the way that it's spaced out, it sort of looks like feline in, different camera angles, which I thought was really fitting since there is a cat in this video that shows up throughout the video. And it kind of reminded me of a cat I used to have named Patches.
Yep, I thought that.
You thought that too? Mm-hmm. Oh, very good.
His clothes sort of surprised me when I saw it just yesterday or the day before, because for some reason in my memory, I only saw this video a few times. I'm not even sure where I saw it, but I did know it. I did know what to expect. But in my head, Andrew was all decked out. Andy, I mean, not our Andrew. Andy Bell was all decked out in like athletic gear, like Nike or Adidas. Like he had like white sweatpants on and a white T-shirt that said had a logo of a company. Oh. And for some reason, I thought he had a headband on.
Wow.
And I always said to myself over the years, it's really weird that how in the early 90s or late 80s, he really embraced basketball clothes.
I don't know who you're thinking
I'm
of.
glad to see that he didn't.
No, not at all. No, and
he's wearing a lot of white clothes though.
Yeah, well, they do that throughout these videos. We saw that when he did decide to wear a shirt in the Blue Savannah video. It was all white, and he had white. They were both wearing all white. And
That's right.
And the next video we discussed, they'll be wearing all white. So there's a theme.
Oh, okay.
There's a theme.
Weirdly, I think what they'd done as well was my Lifeline shirt was a T-shirt, and what they'd done was sort of used other T-shirts to make the short sleeve shirts into long sleeve shirts in this video, which I remember thought looked really strange. Because it's like they'd had 10 T-shirts and made them into 2.
Yeah, they are kind of baggy shirts, so I don't know what's going on there. And I think they're tucked in to their pants.
I never tuck my T-shirts in.
No, you don't.
It was the 80s, wasn't it? Anything went in the 80s.
Yep.
That it did.
So this promo clip was directed by the Giblets.
Yeah.
For a company called HLA, who are still active. They have a Facebook page and a website. They are London's leading commercial filmmaker since 1988. So this was very early in their corporate lifetime. And the only reference I can find to the Giblets is on their Facebook page, on HLA's Facebook page, where they posted a picture with the caption that said, "Given to us by an adorable collective of directors we represented called the Giblets back when we first started. This silver gnome is only small, but after 30 years of successful trading, he obviously has some magical powers." And it was a little silver gnome statue. I could not find out who the Giblets were.
Huh.
I'd never heard of them, actually. I just assumed it was some pseudonym for someone else. But it's the Giblets, isn't it? It's Giblets.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Giblets. Okay.
Do you know what Giblets are?
They're inside a turkey.
Horrible.
Yeah. That's a weird name for a company.
I always thought that word was spelled with 2 B's.
Oh, Giblets.
That's going to be my excuse for why I didn't know how to say it.
Okay, yeah.
The liver, heart, gizzard, and neck of a chicken or other fowl, usually removed before the bird is cooked and often used to make gravy, stuffing, or soup. Well, not in this house.
No. But why would you
I'm
name
starving.
Oh, shut up. Yeah, you would never eat that. That's a weird company name, isn't it? But I think I looked it up on IMDb, and I don't think they had any other credits.
Just
yeah,
this video?
So it was really strange. But this is not too bad. I really think it's fun. They're kind of in an alley at first, and there's plastic bags and bottles and products, kind of falling down and blowing around in the wind, and then the items are increasing. There's more of them, and they end up on the roof, and there's they're kind of just surrounded and drowning in these plastic items.
Not even climbing to the roof could save them.
No, but the cat's still around too.
Yeah, and I like how there's quick shots of the fingers pointing down.
Oh, yeah.
From Heaven.
Yeah, guilty.
Guilty.
Yeah. It's like all very dramatic, as it should be, considering the name of the song.
Yeah, this is a good video.
Speaking about things coming from the sky, in addition to those hands, how about when the mini moog falls from the sky and Vince just immediately starts playing it? Like it just like falls into his lap and he just starts playing it. Like, that is the greatest thing.
Yep.
I love that.
I love seeing his fingers in action.
Yeah.
You know, another thing that I remember distinctly from this video is how often Andy looked upwards, like when the camera was above him. So even though I couldn't remember his clothes accurately, I did remember that the camera was elevated.
Angles. Yeah. Okay.
So we all like this one, huh?
Oh, yeah. Lots. Very much.
Cool.
Yeah, it's good fun.
This song is one of my top 3 Erasure singles of all time.
As it should be.
Together with Who Needs Love Like That and Fingers and Thumbs, just in case anyone cared.
Fingers and Thumbs. I love that
Those
one.
are my 3 favorite Erasure singles.
Awesome.
Okay, and that brings us to our first real album track of the record, that introduction piano song. We won't count that.
Yeah,
so
this is the first song of any consequence, of any length.
That wasn't released, and this is a slow ballad, and it's called How Many Times?
Many times will I regret the chances taken. Why do I end up always the one who is mistaken?
You know, I can never, ever remember which ballad is at this spot on this album. Is it How Many Times, or is it The Hardest Part? Every few months, for some reason, the question just pops into my head. Hey, have you managed to remember which of those 2 songs is on Wild and which is on Crackers International?
Oh, that's funny.
And I can never keep it straight. I could sit there and I could sing the 2 songs. Like, you know, I know how to sing the choruses and I can hum them and sing them. But then if somebody would say, I'll give you $10 if you can tell me which one of those songs is on Wild, I would have a 50-50 shot. I just cannot remember.
Well, perhaps a helpful reminder, this would be a good way to help you, maybe, the one that has the punctuation. Because as you can see from the album title and the song preceding it, they're really fond of using punctuation here.
They are. That's a good method.
Yeah. So this one is How Many Times? ?
Hey, I bet you I will remember from now on.
All right. Well, you're welcome.
I think my problem stemmed from the fact that they're both beautiful songs featuring gorgeous vocal harmonies. I love the harmonies on the chorus of this song and that song. Man, this song is beautiful. This is a great track.
It is a lovely song.
Quite a change of pace from Drama. Here we're going to get just a very simple rhythm and some bass to accompany Andy for like the first 30 seconds. And then even when Vince makes his presence known, it's very kind of tasteful.
As it always is.
Is it?
Well, I guess it's not bombastic for sure.
I really, really like this song. Do you guys like this one?
I do like this song. I think it's a nice little bit of shade after the bright light and dramatics of Drama. It just does its thing in its own special way. It's got that kind of nice, simple drum machine pattern and Andy crooning along to it. And I think it's just what we needed to come down after the manic excitement of Drama.
I like that a lot, yes, and I agree. And you know who else I would say agrees? Ong.
Ong.
Is that how you say it? Is it Ong? O-N-G-E?
Or is it Onge?
Onge? I don't know.
I think O-N-G would be Ong and O-N-G-E would be Onge.
Onge. Okay, so Onge's Erasure page says of this song, How Many Times is a nice, soothing slowy, one of the band's most beautiful. Andy's singing is gorgeous and understated, and whilst the track isn't groundbreaking, it is still a fine song.
I agree with him. What I really like about it is that it is a Vince Clarke synth ballad. And by that, I mean, he doesn't write songs like this anymore. You know, that kind of makes me sad. It may be mellow and maybe a slow song, but we still get a very Vince Clarke synth riff in the middle of the song.
Oh, yeah.
You're not going to mistake that.
Do-do-doon, do-do-doon, doon, doon, doon.
Yeah, that's Vince Clarke. It kind of puts me in mind of The Assembly, Never Never, or like a song like that. And, you know, if you listen to some of the slower songs on Violet Flame or World Be Gone, he's not writing songs like that anymore. They're just kind of like slow songs without these Vince Clarkean riffs.
Yeah.
And whenever I hear it, it makes me a little sad because I really like this.
It's got that nice sampled guitar on it as well that Mark Saunders talked about in that interview that they used on
Oh, right.
Star. They used it on Star, didn't they, as well?
Yep.
which gives it that sort of very mellow feel too. And that's probably what you're connecting with the Assembly song, because that had that sort of sampled acoustic as well, didn't it?
Right. Yes, it did.
Yes, it did. What you just said about using the sampling keyboard, that was one of the times that Mark was able to follow through on Daniel's orders and get Vince to expand his horizons a little bit, because Vince wasn't really all that interested in sampling keyboards, he said, but he did get him to use this sound.
And I think it works to great effect here. And
Definitely.
I like the keyboard sounds here too. They are almost kind of like a harpsichord, and I think that gives this song almost an older feel to it. Like it doesn't necessarily fit in with what we just heard chronologically. And I don't know if that's just me, or do you hear this sounding like something that could have been on a prior album?
I hear it sounding very much like a song off of Crackers International called The Hardest Part.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So like a year beforehand. Yes.
And
right.
As I said, that my brain is unable to tell the difference between the two songs for some reason. This song has less to it musically than The Hardest Part. I did realize yesterday as I was going back and forth between the two songs, this is a more sparse arrangement.
Yeah, I agree.
But with the choruses, both are very catchy and with very nice harmonies, and I think that's what makes me connect them in my brain.
Yeah.
Because I will tell you, I wrote here, pop music doesn't get much better than what the boys are giving us right here, and I write that in particular about the vocals and harmonies on the chorus, which still blow me away 30 years later. As I was sitting here yesterday with my earbuds, listening to the harmonies on that chorus, like in the second half of the song, this is still one of the best things I've ever heard.
I think it's a good example as well, particularly after the song that went before, that you don't have to throw everything at it for it to be a beautiful...
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it stands, doesn't it? It's kind of quite minimalistic, but it still stands as a really beautiful song.
Right. And I think that speaks to Vince Clarke's songwriting abilities. You know, we've talked many times before about the fact that if a song has good bones, good structure, you don't need a lot more to it to make a good song. And to that end, they do go revisit this one acoustically on Union Street.
I was just going to check to see if they did.
Yes, they did. And it's probably not all that different in some ways because there isn't a lot to this version of it either.
Yeah, what a great song this is. We just said, there isn't much to it. It's kind of minimal. On this year's 30th anniversary re-release of the album, they include a previously unreleased alternative mix of this song. And boy, is it interesting to hear another path that the band was almost going to go down with this song, because it's very different. And a lot of the things we're saying that we think are good qualities about the song, the minimal qualities to it, they sort of got away from that. And I have a little sample here just because I know Sarah hasn't heard this probably in a while.
No.
Just to refresh your memory. This is another take on this track that they were evidently exploring. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on.
Wow, that is very different.
It's like it's adding things, but it's not really adding anything to it. I mean, the keyboards are very repetitive. Vince Clarke sometimes is repetitive, and I love it. But here in many instances, I think that those new keyboards that we're not familiar with, they're kind of overpowering Andy's vocals. It makes it harder to hear him in the mix and covering up some of his voice that I like so much. And the drums, I have a problem with the drums too. They draw too much attention to themselves. There's a sound in there that sounds like somebody's hitting like a big oil drum with a hammer or something. I really dislike that.
Those percussion sounds are from, they sound to me like they're from the kind of equipment that he was using around the Upstairs at Eric's album, the Pro 1 sound, where he was using synths for percussion sounds, like the Human League did originally as well. They remind me, they're very primitive sounding, aren't they? Which is why it sounds like a demo to me. We don't know whether it is a demo or we don't quite know where it fits in, do we? But
no, they don't have it labeled as a demo, but I guess it could be.
Yeah, who knows?
They call it an alternative mix.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't go down that road with it.
Call me crazy, but do you know what that actually reminded me of when I heard it now? It made me think of something on Snow Globe.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I know what you mean.
It has a sonic quality to it that puts me in mind of the sounds in Snow Globe.
I could go for that, yeah.
I'm glad I'm not completely crazy.
Now, the one thing I do like about that version, and I didn't play it for you because that would have been good planning ahead of time. At the very end, as the song is getting ready to end, Andy sings, and it gets me nowhere, like 3 or 4 times.
Oh.
But he doesn't go any further than that. Just, and it gets me nowhere, and it gets me nowhere. And I was assuming, I wasn't 100% sure of this, but I think Andrew is going to support me on this claim.
Okay.
This is kind of a reference to the wonderful track A Little More Love by one of my favorite singers of the 80s, early 80s and late 70s, Olivia Newton-John.
It gets me nowhere to tell you no. It gets me nowhere to make you go. Will a little more love make you stop depending? Will a little more love bring a happy ending? Will a little more love make it right? Will a little more love make it right?
You agree with me on this, Andrew?
I do, because when he sings it live, he sings that line as well. And he's a huge fan, isn't he? He loves Olivia Newton-John.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, Olivia Newton-John and Debbie Harry are big icons for him. So,
Oh, okay.
and that's why when you were talking about the Union City Blue reference and him using that lyric, it wouldn't surprise me if that's what he did in this case as well. It's just a nice sort of tribute, isn't it?
I wonder if you would be excited to hear that I just got Xanadu on Blu-ray this week. Andrew, one of my claims to fame is that I have owned Xanadu on LP, 8-track, cassette, CD, VHS, DVD, and now Blu-ray.
Wow.
So as someone pointed, I was bragging this week, as you would if you had this claim to fame. And someone said to me, I guess in an attempt to get me to shut up, you didn't know it on Laserdisc. So now I've got to try to find it on Laserdisc.
Even though I'll never be able to play it.
Have you ever listened to it on a Walkman wearing roller boots then?
Yes to the first half of that question, but no to the second half.
It is a brilliant film.
It is. And I bet you that is part of the thing that made you decide upon your career path, because the male lead in that movie was hired to go to record stores and paint large versions of album covers.
Oh, God, I'm glad we don't have to do it like that anymore.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
So yeah, I can see that, that idea probably got you excited and set you on the path to art.
As I'm sure it did for many people.
And the roller boots.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Sort of apropos of nothing. It's not really, though. One of the things you're confused about is this song versus the hardest part. Mm-hmm. I would just like to point out at this time that is another Blondie song.
The hardest part?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Completely different type of song from, each other. But I just thought, I should mention that since we're talking about Blondie.
Yep, that's a really good song, too. That's the video where she's not blonde. She's a brunette in that video.
Crazy. I bet it's a wig.
Yeah, it is. Regardless of how much I enjoy this one, Erasure does not release a ton of ballads, so the decision to go with You Surround Me before this one makes total sense to me. We'll get to that other song soon enough, but even if How Many Times has to live its life in the shadow of that classic single, How Many Times is still an amazing song, and a highlight of this first side. Or is it the hardest part? I can't remember.
I'll help you remember. It's the one with the punctuation that goes on wild.
Exactly. Sarah, for helping me keep that straight,
Yes?
I'm going to declare that you are a star.
God is love, God is war. TV preacher, tell me more. Lord, redeem me, am I pure as heaven? Sent you money, sent you flowers. Could worship you for hours. In whose hands are we anyway? Go waiting for the stars. You can shower in town. Must go to Mars.
Oh, that's a bouncy little number, isn't it? Well, it's certainly it's got more energy than the one we just heard. And this was another single. Now in the UK, this was the 4th single released from the album, and it was released in the UK on May 21st, 1990. And as a 4th single, it actually did pretty well. A lot of times the album's petered out by then, but it got to number 11 on the UK chart, and I think that's quite respectable.
Yeah, that's strong.
Honestly, it's certainly better than it did in here in the United States, where it was the 3rd single, and it was released around the same time, and it peaked at number 4 on the Hot Dance Club chart. So that was good, but that's the only kind of chart action it saw in the United States. But that was almost a year after the first single was released that it made the Dance Club chart. It got there on August 4th, 1990. So, that's a long lifespan for this album, really. The first single was, September of 1989. We're doing the fourth single, summer of 1990. That's pretty good.
It just makes me a little sad that this album got a fourth single and The Innocents did not get a fourth single.
Well, we talked about that, and that's partly their own fault because they had Crackers International right there ready to go out.
I know. Now, Talk About Pop Music had this to say about this song. Star returns us to more lively, energetic Erasure as the chorus comes in first. Then the song gathers pace with each successive verse and chorus. From Moscow to Mars, that's where the stars go showering down between, apparently. It was actually written as a protest song by Andy and Vince, referring to nuclear war. The song was given a slight overhaul with more bass and beat when it was released as the fourth and final single.
So I have a couple of reviews from Anges. How do you say that? It's like Ange,
Ange.
like orange.
Curious.
Orange.
Do we know what country Ange is from?
I feel like he's from the Scandinavian country. I think I remember seeing that. I think he's from, Norway or Sweden or somewhere.
Oh, then it's probably Onga.
Onga.
Oh, no.
Oh, man. Can I just stick with Ong?
No.
He's never going to tell me if it's right or wrong.
Onga. All right.
Onga's Erasure page. He says, the tempo rises once more for Star, another song with the stigma of an awful video to accompany it as a single. The jungle-style beat and undeniable catchiness of this track make it a song of great enjoyment. The verse lyrics condemn the actions of the Bible preachers who claim you can buy your way in heaven, which are rife on American religious television, with the chorus lyrics apparently warning of the perils of a nuclear war. With the fine melody and performance, this is a marvelous musical experience.
I'm starting to get bummed out by all the accolades we're throwing this song in these reviews. AllMusic.com says that Star is another one of those rip-roaring Clarke Bell compositions that's as much fun for the ears as it is for the feet. And we get it here in a stupendous single mix, an extended mix that does good things with the tune and lets it carry a dance rhythm along with the infectious, cheery melody, and a version that sucks up 70s soul by the bucket load. 4 out of 5 stars. They gave Drama 2 out of 5 stars.
Wow.
On AllMusic. And they gave this song 4 out of 5 stars.
Wow. That's backwards. I mean, this isn't a horrible song, but Drama is like way better.
This isn't a horrible song, but up until this year, I thought it was a horrible song. I have hated this song for most of the time that I've had this album. This is not Erasure to me, this song. It does not sound like what I want from Vince Clarke.
I would agree. I never liked this as a single. I was a huge Erasure fan at this point, as I said earlier, and so bought all of those, 12-inch remixes and limited editions, but I was never fond of this as a song. I think some of the remixes were more interesting by William Orbit did a really good sort of housey, acidy version of it, which I liked, but I felt by this point they were scraping the barrel a little bit, really, and you've said that you like it now. I still don't really like it even now.
I don't love it. I would still rather not listen to it, but I can listen to it. Back in those days, I would seriously claim to you that I was unable to listen to it. I don't know how I would back that up or support it with any logic. But yeah, I did not like it. Now I can tolerate it, I guess. But when I was listening to it this week, it was almost like I was listening to like a lost Erasure track, because I don't want to give too much away of the next song, but this song was the beginning of side 1 just crumbling into something unheard of at the time when I first got the cassette, and that was horrible Erasure music. And this is where side 1 to me starts to fall apart.
Well, it just gets messy, doesn't it? When you've been used to sort of the beautiful perfection of something like Blue Savannah, which is so precise, and, that the lovely little piano bits we were talking about earlier, everything sonically works together. Star and the song to follow they just feel noisy and cacophonous, and it's just a bit jumbly and anarchic for me, really. And not anarchic in the sense, it's not like I'm listening to a punk band, but for Erasure, it's just a bit, there's just too much. I think, didn't one of the reviews say something about jungle-style drums?
Yes, the jungle beat. Yes, jungle-style beat.
That's not something you would usually associate with the sound of Erasure, is it? And I think it was just quite a shock to hear it, particularly after what we've heard on this side of the album.
Those drums always made me think of like Bow Wow Wow, or like the little bit that I know about Adam and the Ants, like that kind of scene.
That Burundi sound.
Yeah, and man, I do not like it here mixed with Erasure.
I don't know. I hear the Erasure gallop in this song. I hear that tempo and that I mean, I know that the drums that they're using to make that sound are different, but I still hear the Erasure gallop, that tempo that we're used to. And I hear nice acoustic guitar or guitar samples that I'm also used to hearing in Erasure songs.
I'm not used to like the guitar having such a prominent spot in the mix, though.
Okay.
The guitar has been there, Vince drumming some acoustic guitar in the
Certainly,
background.
yeah.
But here, it really is the focal point of a lot of the music.
And there's that strange sort of almost sounds like a trombone sound as well in there, which I find a bit irritating. That lead melody line.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
You know
Yeah,
I mean?
I do.
Yep.
I don't know. This song didn't bother me that much at all.
And Andrew, you and I must be, we must be outside of the loop on this because, like I think Sarah said, it peaked at number 11. People seemed to enjoy the song, I guess, when it was out. But
They did, but it was a diminishing return, wasn't it? Because what the other singles had done better.
Right.
So,
but you're going to see that on a fourth single.
Yeah, no matter what the fourth single would have, it would have had to
Regardless,
be like the best song of all time to do really, really well as a fourth single.
It's like at the time I would sit there and ponder to myself, like, okay, this is new. I've never seen Vince and Andy make a misstep before. In all honesty, I didn't like the song called The Soldier's Return. That was it was a B-side to something, Victim of Love or something, I think.
Yeah.
But in terms of the albums, there has never been a song I didn't like on their albums. I would seriously sit there and say to myself, like, well, are they releasing too much stuff? What's the problem? Are they spreading themselves too thin? They've had an album in 87 and 88 and 89. Oh my God, I think they're working too hard. I think it's going to kill the band. Oh, what are they going to do? Then I see that it hit number 11. And like you said, it is a step down, but it's still top 20.
I think often it's when a band gets established, they feel like they need to do different things to stay fresh and relevant. And sometimes they shouldn't do that. They should stick at what they're good at, because, that's what we're used to hearing from them. I know the arguments for both sides, really. And I think that I prefer Erasure when they're at their most electronic and you can hear everything that's going on and it's all beautifully sequenced. And I think that's what Vince Clarke is best at. So I'd prefer him to do that. But I also understand why that would become boring and why you would think, we're going to do it differently. And that's why you work with different producers and different engineers and things, because they'll bring different things to it. And that's exactly what happened with this song, isn't it? This is Mark Saunders' influence on this.
Oh, Mark. I've been liking his interview, and I've been a big fan of him until you said that right there. If he's the one I've got to blame for this, then he's on my bad list. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Like, all right, so this was the number 4 U.S. dance club song.
Yeah.
At least when I listened to the album version, maybe the dance single was different. I don't even hear like a lot of energy in this one. I wouldn't want to dance to this song.
I don't remember ever dancing to it, and I was out on the scene at this time. But I don't even remember it even being played in the same way that Drama and other songs like Stop off Crackers International. They were big dance floor hits. But no, I don't remember this being played. Did it make it into the top chart? You said there was a top 40, was it, or top 20 Erasure singles?
Oh, the Metro Weekly list of 40 greatest Erasure songs. No, it is not on that list.
Well, there you go. Says it all.
They broke this one out, though, on the Violet Flame tour.
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, oh, I got to sit through this. And people around us were like, yay.
And did they reconstruct it in the style of that album? Because that's very, very precise electronic album, isn't it?
I
don't remember exactly what it sounded like, mainly because it was probably my least favorite point of the night.
He blocked it out.
So I forget if they were faithful to this version or if they changed it up or what they did.
I don't know. I feel like I have to jump on the bandwagon of criticism here because I'm feeling shut out. So what I will say is I have some trouble with his lyrics or his vocal delivery of the lyrics because I have a lot of trouble understanding his words in this song. Like the section where he says, "What's your pleasure? Tell it to me. How did you know? Show your beauty." I never knew what he was saying after that. I always thought he was saying maybe, "You miss some mercy weapon, pure as heaven." Because I'm like, I don't know, whatever it means. But he's saying, "In you somewhere in me." But the way that he delivers those words, it makes it hard for me to understand that because it's like the phrasing is all different. And you somewhere in me, that makes no sense to me.
Hey, the best thing you can say about the video for this one is that it's only about 3.5 minutes long. The album version is not that short.
This is another, well, there are very few awesome videos for Erasure. This is not one of them for sure.
I'd agree.
Andy's freaking me out, though, by how normal he looks like.
And it doesn't make sense, does it? Because the song is so out there. And John Mabry, the director as well, the idea of Andy Bell working with John Mabry, you just think that would create some fantastically exotic creature. But yeah, it just looks like he works in the shop.
I know.
Yeah. And well, they're both wearing all white again. And it's just like white button down shirts and white trousers. Nothing.
I thought it was like an overall, like a white suit of overalls.
I don't know. I thought it was just shirt and pants.
All right.
It is very, very boring.
It is so boring.
Until, hey, Vince turns blue in this one again. And then he's also a whole bunch of different colors later on. He's like in the background and they have like a whole lineup of Vince in different colors with the white clothes. And oh my gosh.
I think Vince looks lost in this video. It's almost like John Mabry's just said to him, oh, just go over there and just move around a little bit and then we'll film you and then we'll put some color on it and we'll put you in the background. It looks really, really forced, Vince's contribution.
It does. He should have just not shown up for what it's, the
I don't
value
think
of what he
either
does.
of them should have shown up.
I guess maybe part of the problem is, like we said, they were on a really long tour.
Yeah.
So they probably just had a short amount of time to make a video for the song.
They just did their shots and then all the stuff later was put in the background in post, I guess.
Really badly.
Yeah, really badly.
And again, this is like, we're talking 1990 at this point, and like, wow, this is the best you can do, John Mabry. Come on. He's done a lot. And one I wanted to bring up was Happy When It Rains, because that's by Jesus and Mary Chain. That's another connection that Jesus and Mary Chain has to this group. They both have videos directed by John Mayberry.
Oh, okay.
And again, linking back to, it's all about the New Romantics, this one, isn't it? He was part of that scene in London and, friend of Boy George. And so he did the Boy George videos. He did the Everything I Own video and Live My Life and the No Clause 28 video.
Oh, cool.
He also did stuff with Mark Almond and Sinead O'Connor and Nana Cherry. Those videos are really nice. They're of their time, but they're nice videos, which I just can't say for this Erasure one. It's just weak.
I know. It's terrible.
Yeah, it's messy. And you guys think the song is messy? Well, you got a messy video to go with it as well.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I suppose in that way it's perfect, isn't it?
It's a whole complete package of a big one, big mess.
Yeah. So, what I take away from this video is that Vince and Andy don't care too much about their videos, or else they never would have agreed to release a clip like this lame this late in their career. Because after the worldwide success of The Innocents, I would think they would demand better. But they don't, and I can only take that to mean the video wasn't a hugely important thing to them at the time. They weren't too concerned with it.
Well, we know that Vince hates them, don't we? He can't stand doing them. He gets very bored.
Right.
Yeah.
And it does look like he might have just turned up for 2 minutes in this one and done his thing and then left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even Andy looks bored in it. It's just... Maybe they were just tired. Maybe it was a single fall. We've run out of energy.
Right.
Do we have to do another video? Oh, go on then.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I hate being this negative about a band that I love so much. So hopefully this next song is going to do a 180 and we'll be back on track with Erasure, and we're going to be talking about music that we all love.
Oh.
So,
Okay.
So let's introduce. We have one song left on side one of the cassette or the album, whichever you're listening to at home. And this one is called La Gloria.
Susie, you're shaking your red dress. Be back tango to the vagabond. She'll be dancing, she'll be clicking her heels tonight. If you see her, Israelita, she'll make you king for the day. Lay to the cabaretera. She'll sing all your troubles away.
Oh, God. That's just... Where do I begin? That song... Just, I am literally lost for words. And as a writer, that's quite tricky. It just fails on every single level. I hate the music. I hate the song. I hate the vocals. I hate production. I hate the...
Don't hold back. Tell us how you feel.
It's just wrong, isn't it, on so many levels, on every level. And I don't understand why it happened. Was it just a case of them saying, right, like I was saying before about wanting to try new things, break the formula? Was it a case of just trying to do that to the extreme, beyond doing a thrash metal song? Was it just a case of, we're going to just do something completely different we've never done before, and everyone's going to be really shocked by it or be in on the joke? And I think people weren't shocked and weren't in on the joke if it was a joke. People just thought, this is horrible. I know I did. I just hated it.
Yeah, I think I've maybe heard this song like 5 times in my life. I imagine I heard it the first time I listened to the tape, and maybe once afterwards just to make sure I heard what I thought I heard. And then yesterday I listened to it twice. And I'm imagining somewhere in the 30 years I maybe heard it one other time. But I never want to hear it again. I've heard it I've heard it 5 times, and that's more than enough. Sarah, you love this one?
Well, I will say I've definitely heard it more than you. I don't recall skipping it. I played it pretty much, I think, every time.
Wow.
But I will say that this is a ridiculous choice of a song to put on an album, and a really bizarre choice as a side closer. They are putting out such great material at this point. They are just prolific with their output, and they have all these wonderful B-sides. So why in the world did this track make an album? It doesn't fit on an album. And I don't have a problem with them experimenting and doing something fun and silly. That's fine. But this song on this album, it completely ruins any kind of flow or consistency that this album could have had. And I get, like I think I said before, the title Wild. Maybe it's like when The Cure did Wild Mood Swings and they just had all these different kinds of songs on it. But we all know how well that one was received. So, I don't get it. I think this is almost offensive. This at one point was considered a single in Spain.
Wow.
Oh, no.
Yeah, there are promo singles, 7-inch singles out there that exist of this song. Nowhere else. I have to wonder what people in Spain thought of this. I hope not much. I mean, I feel like they would almost be offended. Whoopi's review by Man in a Hamster Wheel says, I'm not that familiar with or even interested in Latin music myself, but if I was, I might be pretty offended by this. An approximation of Hispanic cliches taken straight from a 70s sitcom long before PC ever crossed anyone's mind, with Andy even putting on a comedy accent. I'm fairly sure it was knocked off in half an hour at the most to fill up an album. Still, knowing just how much better they were capable of, I can't let it pass. And he gives it a 4 out of 10.
That's more than I would give it.
Yeah, it's generous, isn't it?
Did you see the picture of that promo single? Did you know what the B-side of the single was?
It was a one-sided single.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I saw what I thought was a cover for it, but then it was determined that it was probably like a fan-made cover because there was all kinds of discussion on this forum about it. But yeah, it was just kind of like a white label.
We were singing the praises of their B-sides of this period.
Yeah.
Throw Supernature on here, or
right.
any of your B-sides.
Yeah.
They're all better than this.
Yeah.
And it's not like taking this song off is going to detract from some sort of theme that you have flowing through the record.
Yeah.
There's obviously no theme, so you can just plug and play.
Yeah. How about Dreamlike State, which was the B-side of Star, which we didn't discuss, which I think is an absolutely fantastic song.
That's a great song.
Beautiful, wonderful song. And compared to this, oh my gosh, why didn't they put that on? This should be buried somewhere.
Do you remember earlier I was quoting poprockbands.com, a site that I said had not one single sentence on it that I agreed with?
Yeah.
Well, here's what they say about this song.
Oh, boy.
La Gloria has the same Latinized feel as contemporary singles by the Pet Shop Boys and New Order, thanks to the Spanish resort of Ibiza's then dominant position as the trendy European club scene.
Oh.
So they're obviously referring to Introspective and Technique.
Yeah.
Which were both very credible Ibiza anthem albums that would, this is more like the Birdie song.
Yeah, it's so, oh my gosh.
Aviva España, or I don't know if you have those awful songs there, but yeah, just terrible, cliched, awful.
Yeah, I've got more bad reviews to read too, if you have more.
I don't have more. I just wanted to say, to compare this god-awful, slightly offensive novelty track to the 15 amazing songs that are on Introspective and Technique is ridiculous.
I agree.
And insulting.
Yeah. And other people agree with us. From Daily Vault, the review from Michael R. Smith, he says, about the only misstep on this otherwise solid disc is La Gloria, a ridiculous flamenco number that is so misplaced and out of character, especially for the deadpan Vince Clarke, that the only involuntary response you can give it is laughter. If they intended Wild to be their serious artistic statement, it almost goes out the window with this one.
Yeah, I can't imagine Domino Dancing or anything off Technique being a song that you would laugh at, would it?
Never.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that they lucked out, and I think the placement of the song on the album kind of prevents the song from damaging the artistic value of the record. It's not too early in the track listing. At track 6, you've already heard 5 pretty consistent songs that you're comfortable with and are more or less what you expect from Erasure. So it's not like you're going to very early on throw the CD out the window. And as the last song on the side, it gives you a chance, back in the day at least, when you had this on album or on cassette, it gave you a chance to sit there in silence and say to yourself, what the f*** did I just hear? And I'm glad I had the cassette and not the CD, because if it went immediately into You Surround Me at that time, I seriously think my initial opinion of You Surround Me, which is an amazing single, would have suffered. You know, having to get up and walk across the room sort of cleared my palate and got me ready to hear it the second side. Then finally, the song is not too late on the album, because hopefully by the time you get to the end of the record, you're going to have heard enough that you like that it's going to put this track out of your mind. Imagine if this song was like the last song you heard or the next to last song. You would leave this album feeling it was a disaster.
Yeah.
So I think they lucked out. I don't think they put much thought into the track list of this album. We sort of talked about that, you know, with the introductory song and everything. But I think they just happened to get lucky with this one, with it being number 6. Mm-hmm. That's what I think.
Number 666.
It's a beast, all right.
It's the song of the devil.
I don't think I've ever sworn on the podcast before.
I don't either. That was a surprise.
Yeah.
You really have strong feelings about this.
I did that intentionally to show how much
Vitriol that you
Yeah.
have for it. Yeah. All right. Even though we've beaten this to death, I want to read one more just because this is the same feeling that I have that I've already expressed. There's a blog called Music for Stowaways. It's by Rollo. And he says, side A closes with the entirely nonsensical and fun La Gloria. It's actually rather hard to fathom exactly what they were thinking when they were recording it. It is enjoyable, it is silly, and it is very memorable. But what on earth was going through their heads? That's the part I agree with. The rest of it, I don't know. It is silly. And unfortunately, it is memorable because this song has been stuck in my head for days. And I'm like, why? Of all of the songs, is this the one? And it's like, oh, come on. And I don't even understand some of the words that they are using. I don't even, like his fake Spanish, I don't even get it. It's
Andrew,
just bad.
Did you actually re-listen to this song in preparation?
Yeah, I did. I've listened to the album a few times this week. Like I said at the start, it's an album it's a real mixed bag, and I was curious to see whether the songs that I loved I may not love as much now, and maybe songs that I didn't appreciate at the time, now that I'm older, maybe I would. And my view didn't change of this at all. I hated it then and I hate it now.
I still hate it, but I did want to say Sarah just made me remember that today when I woke up, I was still laying in bed. Like the second I woke up, I started humming to myself. Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
And I realized what it was, and I was like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
I've only been awake
So-
for 20 seconds.
Yeah.
And I'm humming this terrible song. So I was wondering if it got stuck in your mind at all, Andrew.
We could make
No,
sure that happens.
it
We could
didn't.
start singing.
No. I have mental exercises I can do to stop these sort of things getting into my head.
Oh, that's good. You might need to.
I will say this, around
Tell me.
1 minute and 50-second mark,
Yes.
there's a nice Vince Clarke style keyboard riff that plays.
Okay.
If they would make like a 15-second mix of the song that was just that keyboard part,
15-second mix.
I would like it.
Maybe that was the demo version that you saw, that Spanish
my
demo.
God.
The 15-second edit.
Maybe.
I mean, I don't hate this song.
I hate it.
All right.
I hate it.
I appreciate fun and crazy songs. I'm fine with them doing the song.
This is not fun.
They think they're having fun.
Ugh.
Let them have fun, but let them have fun off in the studio and don't subject the rest of us to it. You know, this is not something that you should inflict on the public. I don't mind them having fun, but they're doing it at our expense here. They put it on
Yeah.
an album that we have to listen to. Come on, man.
I feel violated.
Well, at least we can laugh about it.
Yeah. Poor Erasure. We're being really hard on him.
We still love them.
So yeah, I don't like being this negative, especially about a band like Erasure. But of all my major bands, like the ones that have made huge impacts on my life, Depeche Mode, The Cure, Aha, New Order, Queen, Styx, Thompson Twins, Pet Shop Boys, The Mission, Alison Moyet, everybody. This is the worst song that any of them have ever released.
Wow.
And I forgive a lot of things when you're on that roster. But La Gloria, man, I've been carrying hate in my heart for 30 years for that song. And I'm just not yet ready to let go of that hate.
Wow.
Is this turned into a therapy session?
It sounds like it. Give in to your anger.
Oh, I'm glad we're laughing, guys, because if we weren't laughing, we'd have to cry.
Yeah.
After those last two songs on side one of this record. You know, we're going to talk next time about side two. And I know side two is going to get off to a fantastic start with the song You Surround Me, which we mentioned. So hopefully things are going to get back to normal and we will right our course.
I hope so.
So, Andrew, let us take this opportunity. We're going to talk to you again next episode, but let me thank you for making time in your schedule to hang out with us and talk about this record. I know, especially here at the end, it was traumatic. So I'm sorry asking you to relive some of those dark days of the late 1980s.
Well, you know, what you do in the name of pop music, we all have to do our part, don't we?
Sacrifices must be made.
Yes, absolutely. And I've sacrificed a lot by listening to La Gloria at least 3 times this week.
Oh, you paid your price.
Now, something that's fun to listen to and provides a lot of information is, of course, the Art on Your Sleeve podcast that you host on it's a regular basis.
It's a limited edition these days, my podcast.
But you did mention in the beginning that there's one coming up.
I'm recording it in 2 days' time, and I'll probably end up editing it on the train coming back from Scotland, so it's definitely close. I can smell it like La Gloria.
I hope it smells better than La Gloria.
Well, then I'm really excited because I always enjoy listening to your podcast. It's great, and I always learn something from the guests you've had on, and your questions are always insightful. I love it, so I'm very anxious to hear this new episode.
No
get
pressure.
Busy. Quit talking to me and get busy on your episode.
Well, this one links back to an article that I wrote 6 years ago in issue 4 of Classic Pop. This is a sort of supplement to that one, so it's taken me a while to get around to it. So I think it'll be a good one. It'll be worth the wait.
Oh, very cool.
And Andrew, you just search for Art on Your Sleeve on Apple Podcast or wherever you get
It's
your
on.
podcast.
It's on Apple and it's on Spotify as well. Yeah, and
cool.
SoundCloud. It's on SoundCloud too.
Very good.
Groovy. Well, thanks for making time for us. We really appreciate it. It's always a treat for us to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's been wild.
Nice.
Nice.